We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk. We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and
reaching out to the four corners of the globe and broadcasting to you live from the studios of LA Talk Live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We are back, and this is the world's only show that gets to the very root of the medical cannabis issue. This is the one and only The Marijualogist, with yours truly, Richard Karr. Joining me, as always, my esteemed colleague, Ikkor the Wolf. And we have a full panel tonight on our show. We've got some excellent guests who are in fact experts in the industry of cannabis as we explore the social, political, economic, ecological, and medical impact of cannabis from California and the globe right here on The Marijualogist. We are going to take a quick educational break as we always do. It is 4:20. Take your time. Get settled in. We're going to be enjoying ourselves for the next 2 hours here on The Marijualogist. That's right, 2 straight hours of The Marijualogist. Before we get to that, though, I want to give some deference to our good friends, esteemed colleagues, and sponsors of our show, Law Enforcement Action Partnership, formerly known as Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. They are, in fact, the very tip of the spear of the drug enforcement issue, and their knowledge and insight brings us great pleasure. So as we begin tonight for the next 2 hours, The Marijualogist is in full effect, and I will announce the guest after this quick educational break. So stay tuned. The Marijualogist is beginning right now. How about that? So we'll be right back. Enjoy this message from Law Enforcement Against Prohibition.
What are you doing here tonight? What's your background?
My name's Patrick Heinz.
So we're clear,
I'm a retired corrections officer. I spent the last 15 years of my career as a licensed substance abuse counselor at the Hampden County Sheriff's Department up in Western Massachusetts, and I am here speaking for LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, which is an organization of former and current law enforcement personnel and supporters. It's an international organization, over 200,000 people, and we're advocating for a change in the drug policy, which is a failure on its own terms. We are not pro-drug by any means, but we think a rational public health model, drug policy will be more effective at keeping people from using drugs, abusing drugs, being damaged by drugs, and education is much more effective in substance abuse reduction than punishment and incarceration. But the crime associated with prohibition puts everybody in the community at risk, puts officers and law enforcement personnel at horrible risk, just like the prohibition of the 1920s enriched and empowered the gangsters of that era, and they bought guns and had drive-bys, and by taking responsibility for the market, the demand for alcohol, regulating it, taxing it, by taking that responsibility, we put them out of business. Not that criminals won't look for some criminal activity to do, but they won't be funded by drug money anymore, which worldwide, it's estimated, goes to criminal enterprise to the tune of $355 billion every year to the cartels. Drug money, because we refuse to manage that market in our civilization, in our society.
So what made you choose this path that you're taking right now? Was it something that happened in your life?
Well,
on the job?
Well, after 20 years in corrections and being a human service worker, licensed substance abuse counselor, in corrections, working with a corrections population, I got to see the futility of the system, the revolving door, intergenerational nature of this war on drugs. And we had 3 generations of families in our facility at the same time. We had Grandpa, Daddy, and Sonny Boy all doing time because it became the family business. And the recidivism was frustrating. They just keep on coming back because they aren't given an option. So if there's job readiness, training, education, GED, and people have a choice, but you can't take somebody's license away so they can't drive a car because they got caught with, 6 joints, and now they can't get to work. And so yeah, I was working in corrections for 20 years. It didn't serve the population. It didn't serve the community. It didn't make things better. And in fact, putting nonviolent drug offenders in with truly dangerous criminal people is counterproductive. Then you normalize a criminal, antisocial mentality in these people who otherwise didn't have it before they got to jail. That's not a good idea.
No, it's not. This is basically, a self-perpetuating cycle that just, keeps feeding into itself. Do you see any way that we can, stop that cycle, cut it off somewhere?
Well, it's like the commercial on TV, Stop the Insanity. Once people realize that it's just such a waste of blood and treasure to no good purpose, that nothing good comes of it. I think once you raise the consciousness of the disaster and the destructiveness of it, I think once you raise the consciousness and people can make up their own minds about, and the inhumanity of it. This movie, that scene where the little baby's saying, "Please don't take my mommy." It's like there's real human toll. Every person we arrest or incarcerate for drugs, they have relatives. And it affects the whole family system. The trauma of the criminal justice system. It's not necessary. 25% of the prison population is simple possession. It's not necessary.
What are your feelings on the mandatory minimum sentencing on drug possession?
In my opinion, it's one of the biggest, most unmitigated tragedies of the criminal justice system. First of all, it takes judgment away from judges. Judges can't, it's just a knee-jerk, lock them up, throw away the key kind of a solution to a problem that's a mental health issue. So the mandatory minimums are a disaster, and what they result in is the overcrowding of jails, and then because you can't release a mandatory minimum early, so you have a violent offender who has to be released early because he doesn't have a mandatory minimum. And this thing about police departments pumping up their stats through easy drug arrests, just go round people up. Well, we had an event here and we arrested 200 people, versus the officer who goes out and he does an investigation and he arrests a rapist or he arrests a murderer, and it's once a month. Well, when you arrest the rapist, the rapes stop. When you arrest the murderer, the murders stop. When you arrest this kid selling drugs on the street, the little kid behind him, the peewee as they call them, the little kids, he sees it as a job opportunity. Nothing stops, nothing changes. And the DEA's own estimates is that their interdiction, their ability to intercept drugs to the United States is 5%. If they're really trying to puff themselves up, they'll say they interdict 10% of the drugs that come to the United States. Well, if I were Budweiser and 10% of my bottles broke, I'd just call that spillage. It's like the cost of doing business. It doesn't put me out of business. It's spillage. And there's always somebody to take the place of the person who's getting arrested. So, and they spend 6 months investigating this, and they arrest 6 people, and they get this big pile of money. It's nothing. It's a drop in the bucket compared to the $35 billion a year in drug profits.
Why do you think they have the mandatory minimum set up? Why do you think the system seems to be this self-perpetuating and it just feeds into itself?
The mandatory minimum system basically came into effect, I believe, around the 1980s. And the thinking was, well, if we arrest all of the users and get them off the streets, the drug dealers will have nobody to sell to, and then the drug dealers will go away. But, this stuff about being tough on crime and that drug abuse is this public enemy number one. It's just not true. Drug violence, drug dealing violence may be a public enemy, and I don't know what the number is, but the substance abuser doesn't do a drive-by shooting. It's the drug gang member trying to protect his turf that does the drive-by shooting. So if we tax and regulate the drug market, if we take responsibility for managing the market that's always been with us, and we put the violent drug dealing factions out of the equation, it just increases public safety. So.
Now, you mentioned earlier that you want to basically legalize, drugs, and I know to some people at home that might sound a little outrageous. So, any comments about that?
Well, tobacco, which kills 400,000 people a year, is legal and taxed and regulated. And as a result of that, we're able to tax it and take some of that money and have public education services. And as a result of that, since the Surgeon General's warning, we've reduced tobacco consumption from 75% down to 17% just through education, because it's horribly dangerous. We don't want anybody smoking tobacco, but if they do, we want them to have good, accurate information. We also want them to have resources to help them quit if they want. But through the taxation, we have resources to educate the kids coming up that it's not cool and it's not sophisticated and it's foolish and, and so that's how we reduce.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's live episode of the one and only show that gets to the root of the medical cannabis issue throughout California and the globe. It is reality radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. Tonight, we are here in our usual time slot at 4:20, and it's been quite some time. This is the Marijualogist. I am your humble host, Radio Rich, Richard Karr tonight, and joining me is my esteemed colleague, Ikkor the Wolf. All right, so right before we get back in our studio tonight, we've got a live audience here, and it's really, really busy tonight. We have a lot of advocates. We have a lot of patients. We have a lot of recreational users. We have, no, it's okay. We have a lot of cannabis in our studios tonight. No, you can tonight. Nice. Because tonight is a very different and unique episode of the Marijualogist, where indeed we get to the very root of the medical cannabis industry. Medically, yes, you can. Stop whispering on the mic. We can hear you. Medically, socially, politically, economically, and ecologically, yes, we are patients and advocates. Get over it. We're here, and we're not going anywhere.
Nope.
Let's get over it. We've been here since your mother and father's days. We've been here since your granddaddy days. I can say for myself, looking at our panel tonight, that I am probably quite older than everybody else on this panel. And yes, I could probably fit into your grandfather's demographics, or your great uncle at least, or maybe your drunkle tonight. The fact of the matter is, cannabis, marijuana, weed, pot, herb, ganja, mota, everyone, everywhere. We are representative of that pocket of society who now can stand out proud and strong and say, yes, we can abyss. Yes, we will. Yes, we represent the patient and advocate community of cannabis globally who says yes to safe and legal access. Please reschedule us from Schedule 1. Can you get us down to Schedule 3? Can we be as harmless as a baseball?
Schedule 9.
Yeah. Can we be as harmless as jelly, jam, honey, brownies, popcorn, popsicles, pizza? We've been that harmless. Let's keep this real. There are people who make these cannabis-infused products, tinctures, oils, rub-ons, appliques, suppositories even, I don't even know. That's not jeez, I hate when that happens.
Eddie's the man.
We're here.
Got vaginal ones too.
We're here for you in every aspect of your life. This is medicine. This is not a drug. This is medicine from the earth to the herb, from farmer to consumer. This is medicine. All right, I'm done. That's my rant for tonight as I open up our flagrant buffet of conversation, our cornucopia of conversation. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to tonight's live episode of, once again, The Marijualogist. Joining me, as always, my humble host. Give them a rousing round of applause.
Hey, Ikkor.
Ikkor the Wolf. He's transitioning. I got to fix his camera, so bear with me while I transition.
There it is.
Hello, fella. How are you?
What up, though, man? You know. It's a lovely, lovely Friday, as usual, on The Marijualogist. We definitely got a all-star dream team in the building tonight, you know, covering a lot of different aspects and of the spectrum of cannabis and the movement. We got some veterans back in the building with us that's been on our show before, you know, and they're back again. And we got some newbies, and you guys are more than it's a blessing to have you all on here. So I want to introduce
I want to take a moment out before we get to that point and acknowledge that we are unquestionably, unequivocally, and unashamedly medicating on camera tonight for the first time in quite some time, right here on The Marijualogist. We're no longer ashamed of our patienthood, our advocacy. We're no longer afraid for you to see us popping our aspirin in front of you or our Tylenol.
And not spazzing out and all like crazy. And
our Ritalin. And at your job, in your cubicle, what are you popping?
Right.
There, Rich? Well, you know, I'm popping some Ritalin. Wow, why? Well, let me tell you my story. We don't need to bore you with our stories tonight. You know what it is. Right. This is the medical and socially acceptable element of cannabis. We're here, and we're not going nowhere. We've been here since your grandma, your grandpa. We've been here since Cheech and Chong. We've been here since Red Man and Method Man.
The hash is out of the bag.
The hash is out of the bag.
Amen.
And guess what? Let us give a rousing round of applause. The juice will be loose.
O.J. Simpson is out. We
October 1.
We give him a shout.
Have a sip, why don't you? Anyway.
Shout out to those other brothers that the brother that passed away hung himself from the group.
Oh,
that
jeez.
group.
Yeah, I didn't even want to mention that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got to get shouts out, you know.
All right.
Because that is the entertainment. We are entertainment. And
Yeah,
we
reach out for
cover
depression.
entertainment.
And I think
Real,
you just
you know?
chimed in right now
Because they
to the
could have been
dogs.
on. They could have been on their cannabis. Because
Yeah.
one of them, they said his name was what? Chris Cornell.
Cornell.
Chris
Yeah.
Cornell.
Oh, yeah.
And the other guy's name is Chris Bennington or something. I mean,
Chester.
Chester
Yep.
Bennington or something like that.
I heard Chris Corbin. I'm like, he already died.
Yeah.
Come on, his wife is already getting high.
Right. But you know, they said one of them was
Not Chris
had
Corbin,
weaned
I'm
himself off of the drugs through cannabis. You know, but
And then what happened?
I don't know. Well, we saw what happened. The result, but it wasn't off cannabis, so we cannot. You know, disclaimer. It wasn't
All right,
off
so look,
cannabis.
we got a lot of folks in the studio tonight.
Yeah.
Ikkor the Wolf, my esteemed colleague, please, can you run the panel and tell them who's here?
Okay. Well.
Yeah. Let's get that going.
Okay. First of all, we have our veteran who's returning. We got the shaman queen herself from the Shaman Jellies, and she's an advocate, and she just got through speaking on my Facebook page live. And we have our reigning vet. Let's give it up for Miss Sherry Bell, straight out of Orange County,
Thank you for having me.
representing the OC. And she brought along her guest. We have the Funkster.
I got a song to sing.
Go ahead, sing it.
My Sherry,
Yeah. Lovely as a cannabis bud.
Same thing.
That's very lovely.
My Sherry, amor.
You're a good singer, Rich.
Good one.
Yeah. Everybody tells me I'm not, but I will sing. It's not that I can sing, it's that I will sing.
Right.
Sherry, welcome back
And
to
that
the show.
confidence makes you
Thank
sound
you.
good.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for being a change agent.
And Sherry has her
Rich, I
all-star
said, we're
team.
going to change the plan. He goes, we have been for a long time.
Change
No doubt.
agents.
I like
Change
that hat too. I like
agent.
that hat. Just
Hey,
with the
thank
sticks
you.
alone,
Change
represent like that. I like that.
Yeah, thank
That's
you.
dope.
And our topic tonight was greener planet, and not just a greener planet as far as cannabis goes, but as far as educating and raising awareness for a clean green planet with non-toxic input into the environment.
Yeah.
So our first guest to my right is Eddie Funksta.
Eddie,
Wait
Funkster.
for it, wait
Yes.
for it.
He has his own company, Funksta West Coast.
Bum, bum,
When I
bum,
infused
bum.
jelly, I got introduced to Eddie, and he brought me whole plant cannabis oil, which is called Native Healing Oil, which went with the shaman vibe.
Nice.
And I will say that when the patient consumes your oil, they can feel a difference, and it's a very noticeable difference, and that is how you can tell the efficacy and the potency of the medicine. And so Eddie, he's the medicine man, and he just got appointed on the Cannabis Advisory Board at San Diego State University. Woo! Love that. And he's an ethnobotanist, and he's an author and a speaker, and he runs part of the Chalice, and you can find him in this magazine, Highway, free. I don't know if you can see this.
Nice.
He has some great new products as well we can talk about. And then
Hold that magazine up one more time right in front of you. Bam!
Can you
There
see
you
it?
go.
I know, it's beautiful.
I love that
Beautiful.
magazine.
Chalice.
Hold on.
yeah,
Wait for it, wait
from the
for it.
back?
Hold on, you kids. You're kind of fast. I'm going to hold it up in front of my camera because I'm nowhere near as pretty as you. And this is a better look for this angle. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Highway
So-
Magazine.
Yes.
Yep. I love this.
And then Trey Maxwell is he is a scientist, very
the
impressive.
Homie Trey. The homie Trey.
Yeah, the homie Trey. He's
Trey
a
Maxwell.
bacteria farmer, and I will say that catches people's attention. But he's cleaning up the planet. He's got a unique product that we test marketed in the mainstream ag world on
Man,
Tuesday.
I would have thought he was
traded
traded to the Clippers with that name, Trey Maxwell.
Yeah.
Traded to the
Yeah.
Clippers. We got Trey Maxwell. Oh, he can shoot.
I know. Trey was impressing these farmers of multi-generations that have been providing produce in
Nice.
California for decades. And so his product is a bio input, and it also is a water purifier sanitizer. So we're also
Nice.
going to go after the water in the
Trey,
cannabis
give me a
space.
1 2 1 2.
Nice.
1 2 1 2.
Trey
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Trey nice in the building. Check 1 2 1
Get your
2.
mic a little closer.
one, two.
MC
There
Trey.
we go. You're
There
good.
we go.
Yeah.
And
Is that
then-
better? Can you hear me?
And we got the,
We're good. Yeah, we can
Sweet.
hear you.
got the
Marco.
OC Weekly in the
Hello.
building.
There we go.
There we go.
All right.
Yeah, I can hear myself too.
Enough that.
Hash.
And then the
Much better.
beautiful Mary Carry-On. She writes
All
for
right.
OC
Hello.
Weekly.
Rousing
She
round of
also
applause.
helped
She just
start
carries on.
Pop Plus. And she's just the way that she takes the information and the experience of people in cannabis space to writing and how people can read about it, really, I feel like will leave a legacy in
Wow,
the
thank
world.
you.
Because we're on
That's huge.
like the front line of.
No doubt.
It's true.
We're on the front line.
Absolutely.
So let me jump in here and take you to task about that, but respectfully so. Because for the uninitiated, for our first-time tuners who are out there, they may not understand our cause. We've been doing this here on this network, LA Talk Live, the America Talk Live broadcast network, for going on 8 years now. In fact, in August will be the very first live broadcast of the Marijualogist. Hold on.
Congratulations.
Wow.
That's exciting.
That
No
is.
applause necessary, but wait for it.
We'll have
I came on here like 6 years ago, so you guys have been a heavy force for a while.
Well, as a broadcast entity, we wanted to create a pathway for patients, because that's all there was in Los Angeles, patient access, and then an access pathway for recreational users, because that's necessary too. When I got started in 2009, I made my first legal purchase of cannabis in 2009. I could not believe that it had taken me that long, and I will not tonight, as I have in the past, expose my age. But for many, many
Grandpa.
years,
cannabis must be anti-aging, Rich.
It's Benjamin Button.
That's why he forgot his
Got
age.
that button
let
blood.
me, let me
Got
tell
that
you.
button blood.
I want to speak to both of those points you both made. One is that forgetting things is not such a bad idea because it helps you get past the anger. Two is that it is
helped Bill Cosby.
anti-aging because it makes me feel like a child. Anytime you get medicated enough that you giggle, like the first time, just oh my God, I can't stop laughing. He and I have had these experiences about a couple of weeks ago. Meaning, and as a patient and as a recreational user first, a self-medicator, I remember those first days and how cannabis is represented on the global, stratosphere of things and how it makes you laugh and giggle and forget. Is that not a good thing?
It's a great
That's a
thing.
great thing.
It's the side effect is euphoria,
Exactly.
right? And so what I realized is that for many decades, I never took a pharmaceutical drug.
Pharmaceutical.
So pharmaceutical.
Pharmaceutical.
Yeah. So plants over pills. So that's part of my mission is plant medicine. But I've always been into plant medicine, but I didn't know the medicinal qualities of cannabis or CBD until
Right.
last summer. So
We're being educated way more.
It's
than
an
all-
antidepressant.
Being re-educated.
Yes, in the past
Antidepressant.
few years.
Process.
Exactly, because everybody just knew about the level
Anti-anxiety.
of the smoking the tree, smoking the flower. That was about it. That's how far we went, especially in
Soldiers
the
are
hoods.
being re-educated.
Yes.
The VA is
The
being
government's being
re-educated.
re-educated.
Yeah,
Yes.
because
God
it's
willing,
medicine.
Jeff Sessions
Oh, he
will
needs it
be
the most.
re-educated. Anyone who wants to speak to the microphone, don't be shy. Jump right in.
We got McCain's fix right here, so
Yeah.
McCain's
right
fix.
Oh.
McCain needs a
Right
fix.
here.
It's
I'll
right
take a
here.
shot of that,
You
pal.
know,
At the
McCain's
break.
fix.
That's McCain's fix.
He need it.
and
He
knows
needs it.
Injecting.
The
that-
whole everyone
Yep.
has an endocannabinoid system in
Yes.
their body,
Top
so
doc.
they're meant to absorb and take up cannabis. So the ability for people to access medication and properly educate themselves is a necessity.
Now-
Necessity.
It's a necessity.
I heard the
It's a
term
necessity.
doc, and I want to speak to who you are, and let's acknowledge you for the first time and give him a proper introduction, please.
Trey Maxwell of Pure
Trey
Grow.
Maxwell.
Shoot them
Of course,
threes.
Nice.
And the Trey stand for 3-point shooter.
There we go.
All right. And so they say you're a doctor. Tell us a little bit about your background. Not that you have to.
Well, I've been I'm 36 years old, so I'll
Wow,
drop,
look
I'll
at
drop
you.
right here.
Wow.
Fella.
The doctor
I've been
of soil.
consuming since I was 15, and have had my issues with
Parents.
stuff like that. So, getting into the cannabis world out here in California, it was more for medicine. So, I used to take antidepressants and stuff like that, and I didn't like how that made me feel. So,
Can you speak to why? Because we are all very transparent here on this show.
Yeah.
I think it's important for folks out there who might be tuning in for the first time to identify themselves with the dialogue that we have here each week on the Marijualogist. You talk about why you thought cannabis was valuable to you. Can we drill down into that a bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that like pharmaceutical drugs put you in a cloud, and they don't let you deal with what's going on. And I really feel like cannabis can put those emotions right at the forefront and help you to deal with what's going on inside your head, inside your body, and relax and not be worried that what you're consuming is going to shut down your liver.
Side effects.
Yeah, side effects. There's
Bob
a lot-
Marley said,
We have to keep
Yeah.
educating the people because a lot of people still don't. I mean, a lot of people who still smoke don't even know this.
Yeah.
I had like a little hood forum the other day, and I counted
Speak on
and I
it.
counted like everybody that was there, and I was like, and it's all black.
Yeah.
And I sat there, I was like, wow, it's 1 out of 12 people who know this, and I was the only one out of the 12. And then I still had people that was debating me as they smoking right there, debating me about the oil. And you're sitting here smoking. I said, look, man, just turn around and look at the plant behind you. Just take the leaf off and squeeze it. You see the oil in there? That's all we're using.
Yeah.
And we just got it to the point where you smoking it, we waited for it to dry out. And that's where you are.
Yep.
That's where you are with it now, right now.
For the last 15 years, I've been helping people in hospice with feeding tubes, putting this oil in feeding tubes. So I've been like shocking hospice nurses and everything. walking in.
Let's take a moment
They thinking
out.
it's their product probably. Like,
Hold on there.
we're saving these people the whole time. You
Hold on, brother. Hold on. Let's
Zapping
take a
them.
moment out and acknowledge this brother who's joined us here tonight. Driven a far, far away, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Take a little bit of that.
Tell our first-time tuners your name, your organization.
So I'm Eddie Funkstead, plant breeder, author, publisher. I work with Ed Rosenthal. I did some research for Ed Rosenthal's grow books. I'm in the Big Book of Buds 4, Marijuana Growers Handbook. That was almost 10 years ago. I've been growing and helping with cannabis for over 20 years. I helped get Proposition 215 signed when I was in high school.
Man.
Thank you, brother. Hold on.
Yay.
Well, thank you, brother.
So my mic's working good because I don't hear me too much on here. So
That's
I
all
want to
right.
my mic's
Yeah,
good.
you're good. You're
Good.
good.
We can hear
So
you.
I don't know why.
we're good. And
We'll
so
fix that at the break.
in that, my uncle passed away in 1989 of AIDS, and so I felt like from the beginning that I had to help somehow, some way. Didn't know what it was. In '89, AIDS was a heavy epidemic, and
Exactly.
many people didn't know much about it. And so when Proposition 215 came in '95, that was the whole headlines: AIDS and cancer patients. And so it just kind of rung heavily in my house, for how I should help and go get signatures for this and express that medical marijuana was needed. And so in that, we started growing around '99. But it was mostly, I was young, and we just wanted to make money. And when I started meeting patients and finding out that people actually needed this, and we're growing, hundreds of thousands of pounds of weed in Humboldt, and now I can find out, like, these plants that people are constantly buying, can we offer these to patients that needed them? And so we started giving them to patients that needed them, and it started really helping a lot of people. So it's been a long journey with people to understand, because they call you and they're like, hey, we need medical marijuana. You walk into a place and they think you're going to bring a pound of weed. They think you're going to bring a grinder, a bong.
Right.
And I pull out, my oils, suppositories, capsules, tinctures, salves. I pull out other tools of it. Cannabis is an inspiration plant. So if you can't inspire you to do other things with it, then, you're still kind of in the forefront of not knowing many things or teaching others.
I want to open up our phone lines after the break, and that will happen after the 5 o'clock hour.
Nice.
We'll give out the number when we come back from that break. But you speak to a vast array of solutions for cannabis users. Suppositories especially sticks out in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Not that I like them, and in fact that I don't like them at all. But for some patients out there, what we've always talked about is that smoking and vaping and eating brownies is not necessarily your best delivery system.
It's not efficient. The dose isn't efficient.
You feel me?
And
Can
you need to
speak
be.
to that a bit?
Yes, please. Thank you. Yes, definitely. I don't feel that edibles or smoking are adequate dosing.
Not at
And that
all.
was a lot of the reason why I came up with these products of adequate dosing of 50, 20 milligram THC, CBD.
Specific.
Definitely, because when
Targeted.
yeah, and people would always say, like, oh, I can't take a 20 milligram capsule. Like, you smoke a blunt,
Right.
but what are you smoking for medicinally? What does that blunt do for you medicinally? Recreationally, you're comfortably passing the blunt around, passing the joint around,
Right.
packing a bowl, taking bong rips.
And let's not dismiss that as part of the therapy
oh, yeah. It's a fast onset, and so
that
it's
is
very well needed.
included with the smoking of cannabis.
Yes.
Because that is therapeutic.
Yeah, and so my whole thing was that when you're meeting people that are sick, they don't want to smoke, they can't smoke, their lung
Exactly.
capacity can't handle
Right.
it, their anxiety levels aren't really well
And they
for
don't
it.
need a brownie either.
No.
And they don't need sweets.
No, but
Yeah.
most of the time they don't have an appetite. So how are you going to shove a brownie or
Thank
a
you.
sucker down their throat, or give them a drink, or that's where I was really trying to it didn't make a lot of sense to me helping these people because they were in dire need of hope. And in dire need of hope, you give them a joint and they try to get them a hit and they're choking and they're coughing and they're getting more sick and they're crying and then they get into this crazy panic attack and anxiety effects from the heavy cannabinoids that they consume
And now
at a
they're
very fast
thinking
effect.
and they're reflecting back to the first bad experience they
Yep.
may have had because people do have over active experiences with psychoactive medicine, which is what cannabis is. It will change your perspective.
Oh,
And
yeah.
people need to understand that. First-time users, neophytes, you're not just going to go out there and pop a brownie or hit a dab or smoke a J or a blunt or some popcorn. Oh, this is pizza and it's infused with cannabis. And you don't realize that it may have like 80 milligrams of THC in it.
But the problem is you have a
And now you flip out.
you have a 20-year-old bud tender making $10 an hour that's
Thank
selling
you.
this product, and so a lot
That's
of these
even worse.
And so so the education comes on all levels. The owners need to hire people with integrity to get this information across because these people are coming. They're not. Trust me, the patients that I work with, it's hard for them to get a recommendation because they're afraid to. Second of all, they're actually productive people of society. They have careers and jobs and
They work
want to
in
stay.
Hollywood.
Yeah, they want to
They
stay.
work in film. They
Yeah,
work in music.
They want to stay out there with their
Yeah.
family. They don't want to have a bag of weed or joints on their table.
Yeah.
But they need to have relief. They need to have comfort. They need to battle their illness.
They need to see this as medicine as effective and efficient as a Tylenol,
exactly.
Medlin, Redolin, Tetolin, Fedolin,
Because
Revenitrin,
if we don't teach it,
Revenidin.
if we don't
all
have
these
it,
weird names.
all those names you say.
exactly. If we don't have it, know it, and teach it, which we've been the grassroots movement of this industry from the beginning. If we don't teach it, there's a whole entire support network system called the pharmaceutical industry that is
Speak to
really well to
Dentrum.
take you in
Yeah.
and absorb you into their
They got
system
you.
and put
Yeah.
you right in there as another number and don't care about your personal life, your family life, your compassionate side of your real world and why you're in that place to get hope to go back to life.
I'm going
Here,
to go
take
out
this Ridrum.
on a
This
limb,
Ridrum.
but first we're going to
Murder
swing
you.
to Sherry. Sherry, you have a point
Well,
to make.
I just want to speak to
Please.
Eddie's comment on hospice. One of the reasons why I'm passionate about sharing about cannabis, I've been smoking it since I was 15. You just made me have the realization that out of my 4 family members, I'm the only one that has not had cancer. My dad had colon cancer, my mom breast cancer, my sister died of cervical cancer. And our whole life, we were helping people get better by getting off pharmaceuticals. So I have a food science nutrition degree. My mom worked in a health food store because she fell. This lady cured herself of cancer. So we were on the other side of plant medicine. And when I discovered what cannabis does, and when I met Eddie, my sister did everything naturally. And if we would have known about cannabis oil in Missouri, where we grew up, she could still be here maybe. And I will say it's not just about also but normalizing cancer. It's about when they're on hospice. It's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
And to help someone feel better with cannabis oil, my sister did not want to smoke. And I'm like, it'll help you, Debbie. It'll help you, Debbie.
And
right?
she didn't
Right.
read.
And
Yeah.
she goes, it hurts my lungs. I can't. And if we would have had this.
Yep.
But I will tell you
how
what
I
I
feel.
would have done. I would have given her one of these every day
Oh, yeah.
for 90 days.
Should have kissed you on the forehead for it.
And
All
Eddie,
right.
Eddie, I share the same thing. My auntie passed away of AIDS as well. Sharing needles, shooting heroin. So I feel this story. You know what I mean?
It's
I feel you.
just a liquor herb,
Amen.
just a
Yeah.
little bud,
I know.
tiny
Healing
little
of the nation.
seed.
Yeah.
It's a flower.
I remember
pushing
back in the
earth.
day, we would get that $5 sack and roll all the seeds.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Crunch it
Out
up.
of
You
the
don't throw
plant.
none of it. Crunch it all up. Put it all in there.
Yeah, we didn't do that back then. We just threw it away.
Yeah.
Crunch it up. Put it all
God
in there.
forbid. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in tonight's episode of The Marijualogist. Richard Karr, Ikkor the Wolf, an incredible panel of experts. Coming up after the break, we're going to take a little break, and I hope you enjoy this show. We'll be back right after this. Do not go away, and share it with your friends. LA Talk Live and the America Talk Live Broadcast Network. Why don't you? Booyaka!
We like to feel so irate and to ease our mental state of mind. We're smoking sensei. It's just a little herb. It's just a little herb stall. It's just a little herb stall. I've been saving. Gave me no chance. Oh, was I left for dance? They stopped me and searched me and asked me why, as if smoking is a crime. It's just a little herb. Whoa, just a little herb stall. It's just a little herb stall. I've been saving. He asked that man my name. Pockets out. He turned them inside over, and then it fell onto the floor. My little herb stall. Officer, it's just a little herb. Oh yeah, it's just a little herb stall. It's just a little herb stall. I've been saving. Ooh, just a little. It's just a little herb stall.
Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. You're tuned in to LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk.
Hey, this is Richard Karr, inviting you to join me every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific for my show. Speak on it. Say it, own it, believe it. Good conversation with great friends. Tune in every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific, right here on the world leader in internet broadcast, LA Talk Live, and the America Talk Live Broadcast Network, where we are more than just talk. See you there.
What up, though? This your man, Ikkor the Wolf, inviting you to join me every first Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the Wolf's Den at LATalkLive.com. Now, join me as I spotlight some of the hottest talent of all genres of music. So don't forget to tune in every first Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, exclusively on LATalkLive.com and the AmericaTalkLive.com broadcast network. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk. Get it? Ow!
Want to enrich in your radio listening? Do it now with the new WDC radio show, LA Talk Live's new talk, rock radio show, Saturdays 4 p.m. Pacific, filled with news, talk, sports, entertainment, and more. Tune in as we fill your weekend with rock and funk from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and today. WDC Radio Show. Listen as we kick off the new generation of radio with talk, rock, and funk. The all-new WDC Radio Show, Saturdays 4 p.m. Pacific on LA Talk Live.
We're calling you out.
Sickle cell warriors, leaders, doctors, and caregivers.
This is the call.
Tune in to The Call, Saturdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, only on LA Talk Live.
This is the call.
To sickle cell trait awareness.
This is the call.
To acceptance of yourself and others around you.
This is the call.
To finding your purpose through creativity.
This is the call.
To living above sickle cell.
This is the call to unity in community.
So call in 323-473-3100 to
The Call.
Saturdays 5 p.m. Pacific, only on LA Talk Live.
This is the call.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to tonight's live episode of the one and only The Marijualogist. Right now, we're going to take a 420 break, aka, in the words of Snoop Dogg, a chronic break. And we'll be right back with more from The Marijualogist and our expert panel. Do not go away, but do enjoy the sounds.
Sun's peeking through my curtain. Gotta get up out of bed. It's a wake and bacon Monday. Early morning, change your head. I reach over for my bud stash. I pop open the vial. I reach into my vial. There's nothing there in my vibe. I'm contemplating, was I high and smoked up on my shit? Then was I stoned and smoked it all without not knowing it? I hop up quick, I sit and think, 1 blunt, 2 blunts, or was it 3? Can't remember if I smoked it all with company. Gotta admit the memory ain't nothing what it used to be. Oh well, that's me, I need some weed. Can't hit the shop, it's too early. Oh, why did I smoke you up, smoke you up, smoke you up, smoke you up? Oh, why did I smoke you up, smoke you up, and not leave enough?
If an emergency happened or something like that, the only thing I'm packing is food in a sack. Cause it's mandatory that I gotta be stoned. Like Ice Cube said, once again it's on. It's a fucked up feeling when you're California fiending. If you smoke bud, you know exactly what I'm meaning. Open up your drawer and you trip cause it's empty. But the night before you could've swore you had plenty. With no connects and don't know what to do. So you try to drink a 40 as a substitute. But it doesn't feel the same as that Mary Jane. Creeping up real slow, marinating my brain. And I've been at the bottom feeling just like a peasant. Saving all my roaches and scraping on my resin. I smoke so much weed that I sweat THC. A day without herb, I can never let it be.
Oh, why did I smoke you up, smoke you up, smoke you up, smoke you up? Oh, why did I smoke you up, smoke you up, and not leave enough? Oh, I was over at acetone. Damn, it must have slipped my head. Instead of packing like a pack rat, I was packing like a fat cat instead. Can't believe I did it once again. A fucked up habit that I got. I always do it to myself. I'm always smoking on my pot. I got no options, I could call a weedman from the streets. But it's a Monday and it's 6 a.m. before his peak. That's fucking weak, I need some weed. A long morning, THC free. I can't believe I got no marijuana for my brain. I always do this cause I need a blunt's my fucking name. I need to go at 10 a.m. I pull up to the front, guess what? They're open. Oh, why did I smoke you up, smoke you up, smoke you up, smoke you up? Oh, why did I smoke you up, smoke you up, smoke you up, and not leave enough? Smoke you up, smoke you up, smoke you up, smoke you up. Smoke you up, smoke you up, smoke you up, and not leave enough.
Waking up in the morning with a hangover, cause I don't think I ever went one day sober. I wake and bake in the morning like a straight soldier, and blaze doja till my brain's in a straight coma. I treat it like it's a race in the Daytona, and feel like how you feel when you take 8 somas. I smoke a blunt to a roach and I'm still smoking, riding this bitch till the fucking wheels broken. There's no puff, it's just puff pass, cause if I puff, I'm handing you just that. That's how it's been ever since I was 18. I pack up another fresh bow and take greens. There's no babysitting it, we baseballing it, cause all that talking does is waste all of it. I break down a bunch of weed and got the swisher, bro. Roll it up, light it up, man, we fix the smoke. 1 blunt, 3 blunt, 5 blunt, smoke. Hot box in the car, rolling up the window. 6 bowls, 8 bowls, 9 bowls, smoke. Hot box in the car, smoking up the endo. 1 blunt, 3 blunt, 5 blunt, smoke. Hot box in the car, rolling up the window. 6 bowls, 8 bowls, 9 bowls, smoke. Hot box in the car, smoking up the endo. I hope you ready, cause we smoke like there's no tomorrow. Bumping oldies, hot box in a Monte Carlo. I take a hit from the split, say goodbye to sorrow. Blazing cigarros, get high like I'm Dave Navarro. Cause when it comes to smoking weed, I'm a general. You talking about smoking blunts, I smoke 10 of those. And break down a 50 bag of kush in a bowl. I smoke that kush, you only find in high time centerfold. I'll be smoking on that smoky shit with a kid. You feel like you just got hit by a monkey with a braid. The room's filled up with so much smoke it blows the roof off. Cause I smoke like trains, I smoke like I'm Snoop Dogg. There's no babysitting it, we baseballing it. Cause all that talking does is waste all of it. I break down a bunch of weed and got the swisher, bro. Roll it up, light it up, man, we fix the smoke. 1 blunt, 3 blunt, 5 blunt, smoke. Hot box in the car, rolling up the window. 6 bowls, 8 bowls, 9 bowls, smoke. Hot box in the car, smoking up the endo. 1 blunt, 3 blunt, 5 blunt, smoke. Hot box in the car, rolling up the window. 6 bowls, 8 bowls, 9 bowls, smoke. Hot box in the car, smoking up the endo. Cruising down the street, smoking a blunt. Hot box in the car, got me open and stuck. I lit the cherry up like I turned a flare on a share crime. Smoke it up out of my honey bear bong. I take a hit on the hour every hour for at least an hour. Unleash the power of the green reefer flower. I keep smoking even though there's no getting higher. Firefighters approach us cause they think my shit's on fire. I smoke a couple bags with you with some hash and goof. And smoke like the weekend on a Sunday afternoon. It don't stop 24/7 smoking some dro pot. Cause I smoke just like mechanical robots. There's no babysitting it, we baseballing it. Cause all that talking does is waste all of it. I break down a bunch of weed and got the swisher, bro. Roll it up, light it up, man, we fix the smoke. 1 blunt, 3 blunt, 5 blunt, smoke. Hot box in the car, rolling up the window. 6 bowls, 8 bowls, 9 bowls, smoke. Hot box in the
And we live on the Friday night, smoking trees with me and my peeps. We got my man EDDIE, Eddie Funkster. He hit you with the There's a boat riding by. There's a boat going by. Do you hear the boat?
That was the dad boat.
The Navy. They're like, shut that cannabis down. Shut that cannabis down.
The airplanes.
We won't.
Over.
Right. You heard that? Like a big boat was going, a big barge.
I like it a lot, actually. It's kind of reality radio, handcrafted for your listening and
viewing
pleasure. This is
LA Talk Live, and we are more than
just talk. We're here with Highway Magazine.
Highway Magazine.
It's free. I like it a lot.
We got Eddie the Funkster in the building. Yo,
Eddie
go get
the
the Funkster.
Funkster.
You know, the Italian gangster name. Yo, go get the Funkster.
Hey, go get
he
Eddie
come on,
the
just
Funk
you know, and everybody, all the 10 guys, they got their own specialty. Like, go get the Funkster. He just come on blowing smoke all over you. You can't see no more. Then everybody just come beat the guy. Go get the Funkster. Yo, go get Eddie the Funkster.
We got the Slickster in the house too.
The Slickster?
Right.
Oh yeah, we got Trey in the building. We got Trey Maxwell. Trey Maxwell. He just got traded from the Cleveland Cavaliers over into the LA Clippers. Oh, we got Trey Maxwell? Oh man.
Point guard phenom.
Trey Maxwell? Dog, he got a gun over there. He got threes all. That's why his name Trey. Mama named Trey, dad named Trey. They knew the boys gonna shoot Treys when he got older.
But real talk though,
we got dogs in the building. They need to be on cannabis right now. They just turned up.
We got this gorgeous lady down on the end of the bench there, man.
Yeah.
Holding down the
That's the coach.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And she said to us before the break, before our cannabis-infused music moment, which happens each and every week here on The Marijualogist, we always want to play an exhibit for our tuners out there.
No doubt.
That cannabis is not just about the get down, but it's about the lay down.
Exactly.
Meaning that you can lay back and listen to some cannabis-infused and encouraged music. And while you're medicating or socially recreating with your cannabis, you can actually chill back and have a nice old time with some good music of advocates and patients who think like you and feel that you should enjoy cannabis and music too. All right, enough of my rhyming.
And that's Miss Mary.
Oh,
Carry
yeah.
on. Shout out to OC Weekly, y'all.
Yeah.
OC
Hi.
Weekly
Welcome, young
magazine.
lady.
yeah.
Welcome.
Newspaper
Thank you,
circulation
thank
out there.
Without further
What's going on with the OC out there? What's going on with the
What's up
Weekly?
with
Tell
you?
us
Oh
something.
man, there's so much happening. It's great. There's lots happening in Orange County. Montel Williams is coming to town on
Nice.
Tuesday.
Nice.
So he's going to be at
Word.
Bud and Bloom.
Oh,
so
wow.
shout out to them.
Okay, and what is Bud and Bloom?
Bud and Bloom is a Measure BB compliant dispensary, so a legal one in Santa Ana.
Nice.
I wish I could tell you the street names. I don't know.
Okay, it's just Santa Ana Bud
But
and
in
Bloom.
Santa-
Look,
yes.
pull it up on, just Google
Yep.
it. Weed map
Weed
it.
map, yeah.
There it is. Look at Trey Maxwell throwing trays over there. He
Why?
throwing assists too. He got assists. Man, we got Trey Maxwell coming over here.
Ikkor,
Yeah.
I gotta ask,
What
why is Montel Williams
An advocate.
an advocate?
He's got.
He has the
He
MS.
has multiple sclerosis,
Exactly.
and he's coming out with a new line.
Speak on that.
Yeah, so he's coming out with a new line, and
A new line is in what?
a new line, a
Strain?
bunch of stuff. No, all a bunch of oils.
Okay,
a
so
bunch
the
of
Montel
oils.
strain, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Get that boy head.
So yeah,
boy,
he's
that
gonna
boy
be
head fire.
Yeah, so he's gonna be out there, and he's gonna be talking to people and educating people, kind of on the way I think that he takes products. So
yeah, no doubt. Yeah, Montel is a shit.
Absolutely.
Well, he
So-
was, in fact, a very outspoken advocate of cannabis
Yeah.
as
For a while,
a
for a long time.
alternative to
MS.
pharmaceuticals
Oh yeah.
that
Big
were
time.
being prescribed to him. Now, mind you, he is, in fact, a retired military expert. He knows what they are distributing. He decided, I'm not taking that. Let's keep this real. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? I remember that. And in fact, the Montel Williams show inevitably got canceled because of his advocacy. He spoke in advocacy from his real life experience. For our first time tuners out there, and for anybody who might share this show, he didn't speak from a pothead perspective.
Nope.
He didn't speak from, and forgive me, Cheech and Chong, from a stoner Cheech and Chong perspective. He spoke from, I'm a real patient perspective. And some of these people are here with us tonight. And even beyond their first person perspective, they've got second person perspective that is so visceral. That's their mother, their brother, their sister, their daughter. There's someone in their family suffering from something that cannabis in all of its extracts can help.
There was a politician who had signed a bill. I forgot what. This is some years back. He had signed some kind of bill or whatever, and they state, and he was against cannabis, and he ended up
and died.
No, he ended up going to the doctor, and his
Well,
doctor,
there was one.
His doctor told him.
I've been down City Hall.
But his doctor told him and recommended. They said, "Man, there's nothing else. You need to deal with cannabis."
There's one who died.
This man went back and said, normally I don't do this, but keep the party cracking. And then they had to change that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Change that law back. Like, get it back because I have to be on it. But they have to take that, to touch home for him to, change it up. And not go think beyond self and think about the others that are suffering out here. It took you to suffer, but it was a blessing that you had to suffer and get told this by your own physician.
And then after that, being able to help people after that, because of your experience.
Exactly.
Then not only do you have the knowledge to help them, like get clean cannabis, stuff like that.
Right.
You have a gift. You have a superpower, basically.
Right.
At that point, you're a superhuman.
And speaking on clean marijuana, let's speak about the bacteria farming and all that you were speaking about earlier, or what I was told about earlier, I should say.
That's what it boils down to, is finding a clean source of your cannabis. We were talking about chalice, and these are tested, solvent free, and for a long time there's a lot of harsh chemicals that get put into things, and
alcohols and butanes.
People don't understand that.
Well,
I think it's important to really kind of break that down, drill down into it. We got plenty of time. That's what this platform's about.
A lot of it is what people put into growing the plant. This plant can be a very profitable plant. It's for how much you can make off of how little area you have to work with, you can make quite a bit of money. So people put greed into their idea of how to produce cannabis, and in that,
Well, greed is good, for the lack of a better word, as Gordon Gekko said in the movie Wall Street, which we all enjoyed.
Well, it's definitely
but greed
helped to
does
push-
feed
yeah.
need and evolution. It does.
But as things,
greed
like,
is an
open
avarice. It is a self-perpetuating cancer of one's soul.
Greed or inspiration?
You
I'd
can
rather go
control
with
it.
inspiration
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
inspiration would lead to a better building of the civilization.
The
than
intentions
greed.
are different.
Definitely.
But at a primary level,
If cannabis inspires you, you won't use
yeah.
chemicals to produce a heavy profit from it because
It's
it will
true.
profit in the product. I just had this problem in Adelanto with a company that's got a license there. Is that they're more about pushing out $100 a gram product.
Right.
But who is producing that? Who are you to
They
produce
weren't.
that?
They weren't about just the cheapness in the
Yeah,
product.
and I told them my community doesn't purchase that, and
Yeah.
they've never seen that product of oil before. So why should they purchase that from you?
well, let's talk about supply and demand.
Yep. Supply's always
where's
gonna be
that
there.
right now?
Supply's always
Supply's
gonna,
always
supply's
gonna
always
be
gonna be
good.
there. Demand's always
But-
going to be there.
As long as you're living and breathing.
But
Yep.
when
Sane
it
and able.
comes to the industry of cannabis, one must at every level address the notion of demand. So that means that if you like popcorn with salt and butter, you want the regular Jiffy Pop, or do you want the pre-pop out the bag, take it home? You like barbecue, plain,
Yeah, I mean, I was in Washington for the last 2 years, so I've been back in
And
California
this,
for a year.
this is where cannabis has gotten down to.
Oh,
I
it
mean,
is.
we got to realize
Yeah.
that there are so many varietals.
Yes.
Yeah,
People
so
don't
Yeah.
understand that
just
about
like
cannabis.
just like Colorado and Washington, when they went into the system and everything went over to recreational, and we started it. The people that were actually coming to purchase recreational cannabis were not us. We are the less than 1% of the community that actually we know where to get weed. We know
Who's
how to
that
grow
us?
it. Us
That-
are the smokers, our community, our cannabis
Right.
community. We know where to buy the weed. We know who to smoke the weed. We know our
Right.
friends that have weed.
and,
Exactly.
and,
So
and
we
don't
don't
get
go
me
to the
wrong,
stores.
I'll accept the term of stoner.
For sure, we
Because
know
that
we
is
have
a rite
source.
of passage.
We have a source.
Yeah.
But
They're
you
not.
know the good
The state
from
doesn't.
the bad.
The state doesn't get money from us. The people that actually make the money are the people that have been seen as being illegal for all these years, and now it's recreational. It's cool. So now they'll walk in there. Grandmas want to buy some nugs for their grandson and put it in their
Yeah.
stocking stuffer. I mean,
Is
this
that what
kind of
they're
things.
doing?
It's really that's who's making the
Seriously?
money. That's who's paying the taxes. So
Gotta
they
be
walk
kidding.
in and they see these pretty little packages and they look for the highest THC percentage and the lowest price. And this is what drove the market in Colorado and in Washington. People didn't know what OG Kush was. They didn't know
Right.
what Blue Dream was.
Right, they didn't.
They didn't care. They didn't know. Now there's companies making, Relax and Drift
Right.
and
Yeah.
Breeze.
Right,
And that's
right,
the name
right.
of the strains now, which Breeze is just Blue Dream.
Blue Dream.
Is that a good thing or a
Relax
bad
is
thing?
Sour Diesel.
Is that a
Right.
good
Yeah.
thing or a bad thing?
I'm on the medical side of it, so I don't take a stance because personally, greed feeds a need, as you believe. And in that, the greed from the state of Washington and the state of Colorado and Oregon and coming here to California, because I was there in those states watching it, building grow facilities, changing medical marijuana facilities into recreational cannabis sales production facilities, 30,000 square foot facilities, 10 square foot facilities, storefronts converting over from $10 a gram to now $14 a gram with a 37% excise tax with the 8% local sales tax.
There's a level
The
out,
tech-
right?
Big time.
Do
So-
we all agree that there is going to be a
There's mad
market
levels.
equilibrium?
Listen, this is my question.
A level out.
Here's
a
my
balance
question
of
because
what's
I have.
going on.
This is the question I have.
Please.
Because where we are now, man, just where are we gonna be in 10 years once so many
Well,
people
there'll
are
still be money
educated?
in
Because
it.
they're gonna be like, no, I'm speaking on just like the education factor, where because a lot of people jump on bandwagons once they know something is on, and we have all the CBD and medicine, and people are starting to be healthy and living longer. What's going to happen? We haven't a clue to what's going to take place because a lot of these pharmaceutical companies are going to arm themselves even more.
Well, how about that Monsanto Bayer union?
Oh.
I mean, that's.
I seen a pack of Marlboros.
It's gonna be terrible.
I seen a pack of
Explain that.
Marlboros that were
Explain that. Explain
made.
that. Wait.
Pack of medical marijuana cigarettes made by Marlboro. It was in a
Explain
green-
that.
Gonna
green-
happen.
That's
They've
why I
had
wanted
fields
to.
for
Well, wait. Hold on. I mean, a lot of us have been saying this for the past 9 years that I've been in this industry, doing this show, The Marijualogist. We've been doing this for 9 years now. And we've talked to people who always felt that the moment Marlboro gets in the business, man, they're going to shut down all of the other
artisanal growers, and
the restrictions,
that's
the regulations,
not true.
and the guidelines are what's going to shut us down from craft farmers.
Yes.
And craft farmers are going to be the ones that lose because big money are going to pay the lobbyists to go in there and bring down the levels of mycobutanol, of all these other crazy things
let me
that are in
throw
our
this.
pesticides.
Let me throw a monkey wrench in that concept.
Yeah.
Because you guys are deeper in the game than I am, and I am just a patient, and I want good product.
Amen. You deserve it.
Totally.
Thank you.
For sure.
Isn't there going to
Yeah.
become a break-off point, as there has been now, when it comes to food, beef, chicken,
This is a
free range, Trader Joe's? There's going to become a point where the Marlboro of cannabis is what that is.
You're going to watch
And I like cigarettes. I like tobacco, but I only
Mary Getz.
smoke
Mary Getz.
American spirits.
See, I agree with you.
There's a market for that.
Oh, there is.
And I think it's incumbent upon the artisans of this market, artisans, the experts, the guys like you, to really create this whole other element of consumption and awareness where people realize that's not the same damn tomato
Absolutely.
at Ralph's that you're buying from me. And this is why.
But how does
So
it
we
start?
gotta keep the education out front.
But how does it start? But how does it start? It's just like anything else. We look at the
Right here.
We look at the
Right
cannabis
now.
industry the same
Right
way.
here.
Yeah.
Look at the
Right
cannabis
now.
industry the same
Right
way
here.
that the alcohol industry went, or
Right.
same thing as any human.
Same alcohol.
When
You
you
can't
turn,
compare it.
Well, look, when you're 21 years
medicine.
old, when you turn 21, if you haven't already consumed alcohol before, you start drinking when you're 21. What do? You get whatever you can. You get Budweiser. You get all
Right.
these other crappy
You can do
beers
it,
and
'cause
all
you
this
can do
shit,
it.
right? You drink all these things until you're about 25. Then you start like, hey, wait a minute, I
Mellow
want
out.
these crappy
Let's
beers.
step
I
the
like a
game
little
up.
bit more flavor. And then when they get to their 30s, they're like, I'm looking for alcohol content. And they start looking for alcohol content. Then they get to a point where they're like, I don't give a shit what the alcohol content is. I want something that tastes good.
Hey,
Right.
brother.
I'm a
They're-
connoisseur now.
They're already
These
there
are the levels.
now.
So yeah,
They've
And there's
already
gonna be a
been
market.
there.
so what happens when the door opens for cannabis?
But
And
they-
now these levels are just beginning.
It's not opening for cannabis. It's been open.
No,
Those
that's-
that same demographic has been consuming cannabis since junior high.
But not on our level though.
Junior
that's-
high.
We that's the thing is our 100% cannabis community is less than 1% of society.
There was a time that we didn't
So
even
when
know
that-
what we were smoking. We were just smoking.
just
like-
stirring the pot.
we throw
Got the good over
we
there.
threw Chalice, and Chalice brought 40,000 people. And so 40,000 people is a very small number compared to the populace of the state of California.
Well, I need to
so
be
to
there.
have 40,000 people
and
at
nowhere
our
near
event,
representative of the state of California who in fact consume recreationally or medically cannabis.
Well, I need to
Period.
make it
Let's keep
40,000
that
to
real.
1 this year.
Yeah.
So so in that point, we had a lot more people that are shutting down medical marijuana, recreational marijuana. These laws are still getting fought by a lot more people because a
You're
lot
right
of
about that. That's still
conservatives
happening.
are still there.
Can't
And you know
believe
what?
it.
Because
Right.
we're a very small community, and our knowledge of the Compassionate Use Act has been very underground. It's
I'm
barely
gonna
came out
fight
of
you
ground for
every
the last
time you
5
say the
years.
word
But-
small
but
community.
the best
We
thing
are
about
an
it is-
incredibly ginormous,
Enormous. But-
our
but the-
global
but
No,
community.
not the ones that are willing to stand up and give the true knowledge and
But
speak
the-
with heart and
but what's the-
integrity and respect.
But the
Most
best
of
part
them
about
won't.
but the best part about it is a lot
Represent.
of these Republicans and Democrats, they children are out here blowing these trees now, and they're gonna be like, Dad, Mom, come on,
Not just the trees.
Come on, they like,
They're blowing
okay.
the horns.
No, they
in
are.
the
They blowing these trees,
the
and they
the
like,
movements,
Mom, Dad,
the
come on, you
protests,
can't do that to the law.
The women's
They got the power to
marches,
talk to their parents.
the
Yeah. Trust me.
Black Lives Matter marches, All Lives Matter marches. All of these young people are getting engaged with protests because they realize that is really the origin of agitation and how things actually change. I'm here to tell you that I went down to City Hall. I took a day off from work, and I said to myself, let me get down there and see how politics work when it comes to cannabis. I could not understand
What'd you learn?
that all this good-ass dope money was going to waste in the underground and back to all these other countries. And when I say dope money, I'm only saying that as a joke. All of this good cannabis money, all of this good medicine, all the money, the taxes, the revenue that could be generated for all of these cities that need, programs for young people and park services, all of the stuff they're cutting back on, the fact that they could use cannabis income.
It's beautiful.
When I sat down at City Hall, I'm like, wow, I'm from Philadelphia. You mean to tell me they've already approved cannabis, but they're that dumb that they won't allow it to be sold and taxed. Damn the regulation. All the cannabis that comes to collectives is regulated. The best growers get it to the cannabis collectives. There are no cannabis collectives that sell bullshit. The best growers.
You've been out there lately?
That was one of my
Collectives
questions.
that
The
sell
best
some bullshit.
growers.
Okay, just for real quick,
Best growers put the best cannabis.
10 pre-rolls entered into Chalice. 8 of them failed.
For what?
For pesticides,
Pesticides.
molds, mildews.
God damn
Eight-
it.
That's the
All right,
Pre-rolls.
I smoked
That's the
4 of them.
problem.
God damn it.
There's so many people out there that are
got
growing
faded
just
off of
in
it.
dirty
Damn it, I
environments.
smoked 4 of them.
There's so many people growing in dirty environments and not really knowing what they can do. And anybody can go and put 10 seeds in the ground and grow something. You know
One
what
more
I mean?
again.
So
We got to go
Soil
to
is
the break.
everything.
But here's what I'm going to tell you.
soil
For
management.
the time I was
Yes.
smoking, when you could roll 20 J's out of a nickel.
Yeah.
It's
They were
just
each
a little
$5
It's
a piece.
just a little
Hey, they call it
herb.
the four finger bags back in the day. You got
Yeah,
4
let's
fingers
take a
across.
break.
That's so much
And
weed you get for a nickel.
see what you got. It all works.
Just a
It's
little
been
herb.
here forever.
It's what?
And served everybody.
And what is
Everybody.
Well,
it?
now.
It's just a what?
It's just a little herb. Oh, it's just a little herb star. It's just a little herb star. Oh, I've been saving. Oh, I've got time for raving. I'll rave all night long. I've got time for feeling good with all my brethren. We like to socialize. We like to feel so irate. And to ease our mental state of mind, we're smoking sensei. It's just a little herb. It's just a little herb star. It's just a little herb star. I've been saving. They gave me no chance. Oh, was I left for dance? They stopped me and searched me and asked me why, as if smoking is a crime. It's just a little herb. Whoa, just a little herb star. It's just a little herb star. I've been saving. He asked a man my name, how old and my address. He asked me if I knew I had something that I shouldn't. He turned my pockets out. He turned them inside over. And then it fell onto the floor. My little herb star. Officer, it's just a little herb. Oh yeah, it's just a little herb star. It's just a little herb star. I've been saving. Ooh, just a little herb. It's just a little herb star. It's just a little herb star. I've been saving. 'Cause I've been saving.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to tonight's live episode of the one and only The Marijualogist, the world's only show that gets to the very root of the medical cannabis game. We in the house tonight, and we feeling all right, and the dogs are biting now. Yeah. Dog gonna bite. Welcome back. So, we are having a very engaging talk, and I got to give props to Sherry, who came in tonight and brought the game with her tonight, the A-Team.
A-Team, the supreme team, the dream
For real,
team.
though,
Thank you
and I got to tell
Coach
you have really set it out tonight for us because we've really got some great experts in our studio tonight from the cannabis industry. Now, people argue with me about the fact that I call it an industry. I think it is.
Yep.
Some folks have said to me that no, it's not an industry yet because it's not
That's not true.
It is an industry. It has been an industry since the days of hemp.
Yep.
Since the days that hemp grew on the banks of the Potomac, right outside of Washington and all up through D.C. So this is the Marijualogist, and we are here to explore the social, political, economic, medical, and ecological impact of cannabis throughout California and the globe. We're here. Ain't going nowhere. Highway, free magazine, it looks like, right here in California. I'm loving the cover. Let me hold that up for first time.
Almost thought it was Hot Times at first, but then they said Highway.
What a great piece of artwork. Yeah, I got you, homie. Nah, really? I'm not putting all that. You got to pay for the second one. First one's free. I got to pay for the second one.
You smoked the second one. What are you talking about? That was a
okay.
$20 fucking hit you took.
There you go. Now pay for the third one then.
Thank you very much. Oh, yeah, another dab. Appreciate it.
And listen, man.
Give you a suppository for that one.
This is, in fact, a beautiful
That's Franco.
magazine, man.
That's Greenleaf magazine from Boston.
Yeah, hold on.
Those are my brothers.
Check this out.
That's Franco Aloha. Respect.
On the back.
Rest blessed, brother Franco.
I'm hoping that that's some cannabis-infused jewelry. Or just for the ballers who are, in fact, doing big things in the business.
I think it's the pre-roll they're selling on the top of that.
But this is, in fact, a full-color magazine that you guys are doing here. And
I read about Visionary Cactus in that article.
I got to keep it real with you, man. I remember
I grow all kinds of plants.
the L.A. Gym.
Yeah, L.A. Gym. I did a lot of stuff in the L.A. Gym back in the day, yes.
And they were like at least about an inch to an inch and a half thick in their heyday.
It was like a 2 foot by 4 foot poster. It was like a big old...
But it served us well here on the show because we reached out to a lot of the people who were advertising there and said to them, hey, we're going to be one of those shows, not a station. We weren't a station then. We weren't a broadcast network then. We're going to be one show that's going to give you full and uncensored access to digital airwaves, like the internet, like through Facebook, because we're live on Facebook right now, too.
Nice.
And then we're live on Twitter, believe it or not. People can actually go and watch us live on Twitter. That's cool. That's how we get down. We're live on our website. All of our content is live to tape, goes to YouTube, and then back to Twitter, Facebook, and not Instagram because that's instant. We don't do instants. We do, moments.
Yeah, it's a better circle jerk.
Right?
I like it.
I like this guy, man. He gets me.
Hey,
knock that off. Not that. Not that. Watch out. Hey, duck. I made you look. You a slave to a page of a rhyme book. Anyway, but here tonight we're talking about cannabis, and I got to get to Mary. I want you to pronounce your last name.
Mary Carey.
Mary Carry On, yes.
Mary Carry On.
Mary Carry On.
And with
the OC
Pot Plus.
Weekly and Pot
Yeah,
Plus,
and Pot Plus.
yes.
Because I checked you out.
Oh, thanks.
And was checking out the fact that you were doing Pot Plus. And,
yes.
Pot Plus. Marijualogist, that's kind of a crazy name. Marijuanaologist, marijuanaology. That's how I got to explain that all the time. But Pot Plus, booyaka, that puts it right in your face.
Yes, it's
your
Pot
guide
and
to
Plus.
cannabis news, reviews, and good shaman.
And more.
Speak to that, please.
So Pot Plus is OC
Cute as
Weekly's
hell, too. I
new
gotta tell you,
cannabis
so
blog,
cute.
and it's going
Miss
to
you
have
somewhere in
everything
my love
from.
life.
It's going to have everything. Oh God.
Start over again. Yeah.
That was
So
his inner thoughts thinking out loud.
yeah, that was nice. Thank you.
Sorry, that's
Beautiful
so
poster.
You're welcome. You paid, I paid for that.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So
Give me the money.
So Pot Plus is OC Weekly's new cannabis blog, and I've helped launch it. It's wonderful. You can go there. It has events. It has reviews. It has very silly reviews. We'll put it that way. We review everything from cannabis products to things that'll help you like produce your butter, like the magical butter machine. Yeah, I don't know. That's a crazy thing. It produces butter like you would not believe. Anyways, so yeah, and
I can't believe it's not butter.
exactly. So there's all kinds of news on there and videos on there, and it is growing and it's cool. And go to Pot Plus; it's great. So yeah, but one thing that I don't know, I have to talk about right now is continuing this continued pesticide thing. It's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Clean
Equal 20.
soil.
Yes.
We take it lightly. I got to tell you, I'm just a freaking pothead in all traditional sense. I just go and, I smoke for the effect more than the taste and the.
It affects taste.
I really do not realize, but I do have, in fact, a very reliable source of good medicine. But I don't realize what's going on out in the outer industry of what's happening in these collectives. So please, can y'all speak to that?
Well, that's when you had the backyard boogie scientist say, "Look, man, I'm gonna tell you how it go, man." He got a big ass Newport in his hand. Let me tell you.
Let me tell you something about
So
He's
so
smoking all the way one here. He smoke all the way down.
But I think it's important to point out that there is a lot
use
of
Roundup, man. Just use Roundup.
Roundup.
Shit like that.
There's a
Roundup
lot of
gives you
bullshit
cancer.
out there.
I know, but I'm saying that's what I'm
It's an
saying.
endocrine disruptor.
That's
a
why I said. That's why I
neurotoxin.
said he take a long puff off the cigarette
All right,
first.
so look, there's a lot of bullshit out there. There are a lot of people who are growing wrong and growing fast and in it for the money, and they just want to try to flip a patient.
Exactly. Flip a dollar.
Can we keep that real?
Flip a bag.
Yeah.
Can we talk about what pesticides do? What it
let's
can
get
do
back to
to
it.
someone's
Yeah.
body?
You can't,
Please.
as you must not have a soul if you are growing with very harsh pesticides
Oh my
or
God.
using things and then giving them to cancer patients, because you are then
Destroying them even more.
I mean, you're giving them cancer
Again, on
so
top of cancer.
exactly. So you're making them worse. It's just perpetuating the problem. It's making it worse. And you must not have a soul. To
You
be
giving
able
them
to do that.
cancer. That's what you're giving them.
Yeah,
Cancer.
the trifecta cancer. It's terrible. You can't. I mean, you just can't do that. If you're in this, you have to do it right. It's supposed to be something like if you have any respect, you
Right.
will respect the plant. You will respect what it's meant for. You will respect what it is intended to do and what we've been doing forever. You know.
We've got some experts on the mic with us tonight, and I want to defer to them as well. Futura. Funkster, I'm sorry. Funkster West Coast Cannabis.
Futura, like Funkster, a.k.a. Futura.
Knock it off, dude. Yeah,
Take you there. He takes you there.
on the
His
East
trees
Get a
take
better
you there.
font,
Break
why don't
dancer on the
you?
East Coast?
Right.
Funkster West Coast.
That's your tag name. You know
Get
what I'm
a
saying?
better font. why don't
Futura.
you?
He be tagging up
better
trains.
font.
I'm only playing.
Tagging up Compton trains.
West Coast Cannabis. All right, so let me give up my camera to the Funkster and show the brochure. We don't have the benefit of those graphics, but you'll see this. And understand, Funkster, that this is a live to tape, so
That's
people
nice.
will
Cool,
see
nice.
this in perpetuity.
So
And they'll
the-
figure it out from here.
The logo, if you notice, the logo is all
Funkster.
the entheogenic plants. The top is peyote. On my right hand is carrying
Start back where
cannabis.
you started from, and you see all the hootie plants?
Entheogenic plants.
Entheogenic.
See, that's a word that we ain't never heard and used on this word.
Entheogenic.
And that's why I never heard of it, because I can't hear it when
this,
people say it.
So this is what I do in
Entheogenics.
these articles.
Say
that
it
are,
again.
In these
What is the name of this?
entheogenic.
Entheogenic.
Entheogens.
Okay.
Entheogens are plants that bring you closer to God. Spiritual plants.
Oh, man.
So it's true healing. I write
need
articles.
those.
I write articles for the Highway magazine and Greenleaf magazine. I read what's called visionary healing.
Do the shamans have this a lot? The
That's where I
shamans?
learned. I learned it from the shamans.
I
and
figured that.
No Bolshevik, man, straight
Yeah.
up. So they came and they killed me twice, and it was a beautiful,
Wow.
it was a beautiful thing. And I was shown the light
I got to go where people go where we pass.
I heard
believe,
about this
I'm
before,
spiritual.
too. I heard about this before.
I've done this. And so what cannabis has been able to do for all these years has been help me to get people to get off of cancer, beat, problems with AIDS and wasting syndromes, multiple sclerosis, fibromyalgia. We've been able to heal quite a bit of problems with cannabis. So now there's this new wave of things that are going on. I have a lady that's in her early 60s now. She was in her 50s when this happened, and she was a beauty queen in her younger years.
Time, yeah.
Drop dead gorgeous lady. She got breast cancer, double mastectomy. She lost all of her hair in chemo
I know
radiation.
her.
She now when she walks
We
by
dated
the
in
mirror,
high school.
no, nice. There you go. That's the
They
girl.
gave her tramafadil.
Leave it
Told her to
alone.
take that
Go ahead.
tramafadil.
Leave it alone. I was
So
just playing.
she believes that she has
No levity.
PTSD because she walks by herself and she sees the reflections in her cameras, in her
Oh,
windows,
my
and her
God.
mirrors, and she panics and freaks out and has anxieties of who that stranger is in her house, and it's her. She's become a mutant, she believes, is what she says are her words. And she didn't know how to get over these things, and we tell her, smoke a joint. She's like, look, this oil cured my cancer. I don't have breast cancer anymore. I beat my chemo. I did these other things. But how do I get rid of this in my head? And every time I tried to give them a joint and do these things, it wouldn't happen. Well, the shamans from deep in the jungles of Mexico and South America, they came to me and they said, hey, we've been hearing that we need help. Can you help us with our illnesses? And we did. And then they said, hey, we have something for you.
Are
And
you
it's
Indian?
called visionary
Are
healing.
you Indian?
I'm Native American.
Native American.
Yeah, definitely part Native American and Mexican American.
Mexican,
So
okay.
they
When people ask me that, I've kind of learned to say as I've gotten more mature is that I'm human.
Amen.
Amen.
I am.
No doubt.
I'm an earthling.
I ain't black. I'm OJ.
I'm an earthling. Yeah.
The hell out.
I'm baby juice. I'm baby juice. And
We'll
so
play that a
the
little
shamans
later.
came and they showed us like, hey,
And
you
the
know, you
shamans
have.
show you.
They did. They
do.
brought us some.
You're
They brought us
human.
entheogens, which were their plants, and they were
What kind?
actually. We did ayahuasca. We've done psilocybin. We do mushroom work. We do, and now psychedelics are being rescheduled in the United States. It's just like cannabis was in 95, 96 when they're making it medical. They're trying to find out that psilocybin, which is psychedelic mushrooms, can help cure a lot of people from anxieties and post-traumatic stress disorder from life expectancies of dying. They're going to die. So they did this at the Johns Hopkins University. There's a documentary called The New Understanding, and they show you on how these patients were passing away of traumatic cancers, on how they can get over their anxieties of passing away and get into the spirituality part of their life instead of the religious part of their life. Let's get to the spirituality that we are from the plants, we are from the earth, we are the wind, we are the energy of this planet.
To ashes.
We are the water.
Amen to that. And so
To dust.
I write these articles about visionary healing because in cannabis we can cure the internal body, but the brain is what's been messed up because of society. We're supposed to have a nice car, we're supposed to look a certain way, we're supposed to dress a certain way. And in these things, when that doesn't happen, when you get sick, you get very depressed and you get very dramatically messed up in the mind. And nobody's really working on the mind. Albert Hoffman was doing this in the 50s.
Yeah, he was.
Shilligan was doing it, and Timothy Leary was doing it in the 60s. And it was and what happened to them? They barred it up. They locked up LSD. They put that under guards. And in the 50s, there was mothers taking 150 mics of some of the strongest LSD ever made by Albert Hoffman, some of the
Right.
most purest LSD that would work the most magnificent for you to connect with your internal self and wipe the mind away and make you a great person of society and give you back creation and inspiration in your mind.
And why
Freud
the
did that too.
internal
Freud
self?
used
The internal self, because in the internal
Why
self
the
is
internal self, my brother?
because
Speak to
all
that.
the external self is what we're being
We're
mind
being
washed and
programmed
we're being
with.
what you're chasing.
Amen.
And sometimes the thing about seeking is realizing it's all about finding yourself.
Amen. You can't heal others if you
stop
can't find your own
seeking.
healing.
That's
You
the
know,
truth.
sometimes
You're no
the
good to
thing
nobody
about
if you ain't together.
seeking is realizing you need to stop seeking
Yep. And so we deal
and
with
find yourself.
Amen. There's a lot of patients, they come to me and they're like, hey, I have cancer and I'm dying. I said, well, sorry to break you some news, but we're all terminal. Nobody makes it alive. So,
Next time, tell them. Next time, tell them this.
We're
Let's
not
get with
taught
that
how to
first.
deal with
No,
death.
tell them
Let's
this.
get with that
No,
first.
just look at him and say there are no survivors.
Amen. So you know what you got? You have a golden ticket to tell your loved ones you love them and to kiss everybody goodbye because some of us are going to
All
get in
right,
a
so
car
let
and
me
not
stir
come
the
back.
pot a little
Exactly.
bit. Let me stir the pot a little bit.
Yeah, please.
All right, check this
There are
out.
no survivors here.
Stir the pot here. So, although you may say no one gets out, one of the things I learned from Bob Marley that helped me reconcile my love of cannabis is that he said, sometimes what cannabis does for you is reveals you to yourself.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest thing.
That said, and I love that thought, but that said, I want to put that to the panel tonight. And so I ask you, is there an end? And does not cannabis, historically throughout the eons of time, expose one to one's eternal self?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, even if you get too high one night for the first time and you hung out with the wrong people and they smoked cannabis was way more strong than you smoked in 20 years when you was in college, and now you 45 and you hanging out with us and you catch a contact and like, oh my God, now I got to
What is
drive
going
home.
on? Oh, my
That's
God.
entheogenic.
Right?
That's that word. That's entheogenic. Finding yourself, spirituality, the eye of God, I and I. And that is the truth of
And
oneself.
not being afraid of that.
That
Amen.
third eye.
And there's
Amen.
many
To
processes
finally
to get there.
accept that.
This
Yes.
plant's been here for a long time. You know, we didn't create it. We found
Exactly.
it. So, you know, it
God
wants
created
to
this
do
plant.
what it wants to do, and you can't really put a cap on it. That's why, you know, talking to like what you were saying about, you don't think that there could be a total monopoly from big business on cannabis
I don't.
because
No.
it's so
Wide.
broad,
It's so
and
broad.
any little seed can grow
Anywhere.
And
How you gonna
there's a
control
lot
all
of
of
people.
that?
I was speaking with a
You can't monopolize tomatoes.
How you going
Or
to
cucumbers. Or
I was talking
onions.
to an ag farmer, and
Potatoes.
he manages like 30,000 acres, and he goes, "Yeah, the cannabis farmers. Those are the ones. Those are the ones who grow the best. Like they know what they're doing. They put more science,
Self-regulated.
more
Right.
understanding
Exactly.
into."
They
and
just
then,
grow them seeds and water it and probably put their little things on it. And that's
yeah,
it.
and it's been going on for a really long time. You know, people there's a system in place in the gray market where you know people who produce get it to the consumer in a safe way, and it's been working. And then you have all this big business idea come in, and it really puts a cancerous surrounding on everything.
So I got to ask you real quick because I'm so glad you brought that up, right? As we, in fact, fellowship amongst the smoke of the plant. No, pass it this way. You can keep that going to the right.
To the right.
Pass
To the
it
right.
to the left hand side. Yo, man. All right, hold on. I'm going to reach and grab me something, Sin. All right, now, so that said, as we pass the Dutchie around, let us all recognize the moment, the first moment, that no one ever thought twice about someone passing you a common yo man. As by Molly speak to that, yeah. A common piece of fellowship.
Because
Yeah, absolutely.
they know how good it felt to them.
That's
They
the
know how
peace
good it
plant.
felt to them. They're like,
Right.
damn, I feel so amazing.
remember that
and
first moment.
I'm not that special. I'm a pretty normal person. And I
But
feel
I feel
fucking
so
amazing
good
right
right now.
Hey, normal person that does
Exactly.
simple
Yeah.
shit.
Here,
Feel amazing,
take this.
brother.
Feel
That's the
amazing.
Shaman
respect.
does.
Bless up, fill the eye. You know what I'm saying? That's the
So that-
respect. That's
It's
that's
like
the
the shaman.
entheogenic
can't-
part of it. You know,
can't
Shaman.
bottle that. You can't control
No,
that, and
they
you
can't.
can't
No.
put limitations on that.
intellectual property. That's what we carry in this industry that we've been. The less than 1% I talk about in this world that we carry the intellectual property. We've been driving this industry for over 20, 30 years, over 100 years since it's been abolished from our country since 1914. And that's the real thing of it. We've been making genetics in Amsterdam. We've been doing it in Switzerland and Spain. We've been pushing these genetics at cannabis cups all around the world for the last 20 plus years. And we've been making the genetics OG Kush, Sour Diesel, Kosher Kush, is Blue Dream. We've been making these genetics.
That's why they call it a
Speaking of
weed. You can't
better,
get rid
it
of it.
has
Speaking
evolved.
of genetics.
Who cares about Philip Morris? They don't
Yeah.
have nothing. You know
Right,
what?
right.
What are they gonna do? They're gonna come and
Mary
they're gonna
Getz.
make it. They're gonna run it like they do
They're gonna
tobacco.
come
They're
hire
gonna make
you.
them.
Well,
They're
they
gonna
don't
call.
have a
it's
No,
gonna-
they're not. I'm not for sale.
Hold up, exactly. And
I've
they're
left
gonna-
2 licenses right now,
they're
and I don't
gonna
give a
come
shit
hire
about the
you,
license.
It's gonna be called Mary Getz.
And then
Yeah.
you
Marijuana
got to
cigarettes.
decide if you're going to be a sellout or not.
I met a guy named
and that's
Plunker.
what
Yeah.
I met a-
growers have to decide now.
I met a gentleman named Plunker. He's from the Rainbow family, and he's actually one of the martyrs in Amsterdam. And the Cannabis Cup, he was given a Lifetime Achievement Award, and he's a Freedom Fighter
You
Award.
probably know
Sorry.
my boy Brett Bogue too.
I do know Brett. Brett's a very good friend of mine.
Brett's
he's actually
been here.
he's on the cannabis committee in San Diego State University with
I'd
me.
like to consider
I
him
love
a
Brett.
good friend of mine, but I've met him many times. He's been here several times.
Oh, he's a great dude.
And they're the very same seats.
Yes.
On the
Yes.
very same mics.
And so with us controlling
Love
the
Brett.
genetics, they're not going to be able to run anything with
You
this
know?
stuff. They're not going to be
See,
able, as long
we
as
got-
we keep that to us,
So
because I'm not for
you're
sale.
telling
Neither are my
me-
friends.
You're telling me that the man who created, or the people amongst those men who cultivated and curated the seeds, have lost total control of all the seeds?
No.
You know,
There's no way.
Ikkor and I,
We've released what we
some
wanted
of-
to.
with another friend, we were talking about the fact that we remember as children, because we may be a little bit more mature, that we used to spit out watermelon seeds.
Right.
And nowadays, you got to think twice about spitting them out because you might want to collect them. You might want to not.
If you can find watermelons with seeds.
Yeah,
Thank you.
hybridized.
We found one the other day.
Let's talk about
We found one the other
hybridized.
day.
Right? So, I mean, when I think back to the 70s, when we would take album covers to roll the seeds off or out
Right, you
of
gotta
the
get
green,
get it
the
up.
flower.
Yeah, get the seeds up out of
and
there.
think about those seeds as discard.
Yeah.
And not
Throw 'em away.
realizing that
Throw all
those
'em away.
seeds now pollinated, cross-pollinated, cultivated are some of the best cannabis we are
man.
seeing nowadays.
Exotic.
Yep.
And speaking of genetics, we got
It is
CBG
a
genetics in the
legacy.
building over there.
It's be way
Shout out.
beyond
CBG genetics over there.
The pot,
Yeah.
the herb, the the dopers, the stoners. It's way beyond that now. It is really almost back to roots and culture where it comes down to.
But that's the thing though. But that's
I
the thing
like
though is
that.
that people like you talk about these genetics, right? And the people that have been making them since the '60s, since we've been actually really paying attention to breeding and stuff, right? So since it's been happening, what was happening back then? There wasn't as many saturated growers and breeders as there are today. So now today things are getting mutated and mutts are being bred and compromised genetics are being kept and there's no more integrity in the breeds anymore. Back in the day, there was only 10 breeders in the world that were making sure the genetics that were coming out were solid and good. And in those 10
But is that
genetics,
good for the industry though? If you only got 10 breeders, is
it's
that
evolved.
good?
No, because it's evolved. But that was at the beginning of the time where they're flying around in helicopters, braiding your houses, the 60s and 70s, and they started to cultivate the genetics to bring them indoors. And people that started to recognize these things, and the plants were speaking to us, and we started breeding these plants. They started getting better, and we have these better genetics that were released, and everybody started understanding how to breed. It's a good thing these genetics are being crossed and breeded. I'm not knocking new seed companies or anything like that at all. But there was a time where everybody wasn't doing it. And you got to think about the Chihuahua. When the Chihuahua was a commodity at one time, and then it was hoarded around all over the place because they put it on a Taco Bell commercial. And everybody and their mom wanted Chihuahuas, and people were breeding them. Now you have a bunch of inbred dogs that are crazy psycho. Nobody
wanted
wants
them more.
Yeah.
And so what's happened to the genetics now? You have genetics that you smoke them, you're only high for 30 minutes. You don't get high for a long time. The
Right.
plants are hermaphroditing all over the place.
Yeah.
They're not growing.
That's
They're not
very
growing.
important for people to
They're not
understand.
stable genetics. And what happens when you get a sick cancer patient that is relying on a seed that they paid for from a breeder that they're looking up and they're researching these genetics, and they grow this plant, and it doesn't harvest to what they expect, what they need, or what they want. And if all three of those things aren't there, that breeder already got its money. It's already moving on. It's already got the promotion online of this cancer patient or saying that they're growing these genetics until the cancer patient doesn't come back. If the cancer patient survives or the ailing patient can keep growing. Because half the time that's costing them so much, they can't come back and buy more seeds and grow again because they had a compromised crop. We didn't have those problems with early breeds.
Right.
Yeah, they're stronger.
We had better cultivars. We had better people that understood the drive of the seed drive of how they're producing the products. When it was getting turned into an
Is
actual
that going
business,
for good though? Yeah, if you're
It
going to
is
put
gone
that
for
out
good.
there, come on.
I believe it's
now.
gone for good.
You can't tell me that. Now I'm depressed.
No. There's a lot. There's
let's
a
light up
craft.
some more,
There's a craft select of breeders out there and people
Fire
that
some
are
indica.
being woken up, and they're definitely paying attention to the genetics, and they're making sure that the work is solid and good. But they're very far from few.
It's like you said. There was 10 out of the 10 entries at the chalice. Of the pre-roll joints, 8 of them didn't pass.
The pesticide
Failed.
test.
They're full of
so-
It's the same
I mean,
concept.
you
Headaches.
have these bad genetics that carry on because powdery mildew is systemic. It gets into the plant, and then every other single clone that's produced from that
People
plant
really don't
will produce
understand how prevalent that
bad
is in
marijuana.
homegrown.
And then if you have a room that's there's $30,000 worth of medicine in there, and you lose all of it,
And you sitting there
and
looking
you're
at it like,
well, I could just make this into a concentrate, and then or I'll just roll it up
Yeah.
and nobody will see it. You know what I mean? And then you have really big people that are out there in a lot of these competitions that are just doing that.
Is there a way? Here's a good
putting
question.
out
Go
dirty
ahead.
medicine.
Is there a way? Is there a way to still utilize that particular?
No.
the
You mean
clean that up?
you mean cleaning it up?
Clean it away.
No.
There's a
No.
major
No.
industry in cleaning it up because
Yeah.
in
No.
Washington, what I learned in
No.
Washington was charcoal cleaning and silica, filtering earth. They call it earth scrubbing.
It is a
Right.
plant, though. I mean,
Charcoal,
you could kind of.
Yeah, you can.
Right?
You
That's
can
what I'm
get,
saying.
you
There's
can
gotta
get
be
rid
a way
of
to
you
Tissue
can get rid of
cultures.
quite a bit of things. The one thing you can guarantee you cannot
And
get rid of
charcoal,
is
do you realize we talked
pesticides.
about this on our show a
can't get
couple
rid
They're
of
weeks
resistant.
ago?
They're completely resistant.
You could be in the in the forest
Yep.
and have bad gut
And eat
syndrome.
charcoal.
Yeah.
And eat
Salt.
charcoal and
Well,
oh,
the
yeah.
for the body.
iodine is for a long time most people know the two things about iodine is you either put it on your skin or you mix it in water when you're camping. The little iodine tablets, and that's what this product is. It's an aqueous iodine. It's just
You have that with
clean.
you. Is that your pouch?
Well, this is a different product, but the iodine, it's a it's a broad spectrum sanitizer, so it'll clean anything. And the two main things that are out there that are cleaning is chlorine and other harsh
And
chemicals.
iodine. I remember
And then
when I was a
iodine.
kid, if I fell on the ground, scraped my knee, mind you, this is Philadelphia. If you fall on the ground and scrape your knee, you open up a flesh wound, and then you've got the entire toxins of the city.
Yeah. This stuff
of the
clean-
big
this-
city.
this stuff right
in
here would
your
clean
knee.
that right out.
And
Oh.
yeah,
It's
That's what my mom put on my finger
and
every day.
Exactly.
So-
right?
iodine.
Mercurochrome.
Simple.
with
Mercurochrome.
a lot of
Yes.
with a lot of the pesticides that are out there,
wondering
they stick onto the leaves. They're meant to stay in there, and it's really damaging for when you burn something and you're inhaling it into your body. And the iodine, when it's mixed with the water like this, it just off gases. There's no residual. There's nothing left behind. Everyone in the world is iodine deficient. There's people
That's a fact.
you know
They're coughing right now.
Yeah, you just you don't get enough iodine in our diet, and this cleans water. So like the U.S. government says that you can put this in the water in a cesspool, and it'll clean your water, and you can consume it for an.
Can we vaporize it so we can spread it in the air? Because some of our people in the studio.
If it was
I'm getting
radiation,
a little nervous.
we could take iodine tablets or whatever. If it was radiation out here, right? Can we take iodine
Yes.
tablets? It's like,
How about we take a break and spray the room?
Well, spray for powder mildew.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no shit.
All right, so you
So there is a company that can scrape that can actually do that, huh? That can
Yeah,
clean that-
yeah. This
clean
is
the
from
cannabis.
seed to harvest. Like this stuff, it destroys bacteria that you're not looking for.
You live
And that's
it
for
out
the
here.
water? That's for the watering
It's
systems?
for
Yes.
it's for water.
We're not
systems,
done.
it's for
Listen,
foliar
Water
coming
and
back,
farm.
it's your segment.
You're,
Yeah, yeah.
Please.
And you're here
All
in
about
LA
you.
or
Teach
you're in
that.
Washington?
You guys got to go?
Can I
I need to
interject?
shut up. No, I'm
Rich,
chilling.
Rich,
Y'all gotta go?
Can I say,
No. All right, go.
Can I just say why
We want to hear about all these products too.
why I'm excited about what he does?
Please.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Right now.
All right, so no. When we come back from the break.
Like, you had this big build up, and
She's
this
so
like
stoned.
she had this big
Man,
build
wow.
up.
Quit passing her the blood.
When we come
He
back.
caught a war.
Quit
Richard
passing her the
Carr.
blood.
Legalize the herb.
Spray
Change
some-
your mind.
Leave that heavy makeup. Leave that heavy
Yeah.
makeup alone.
Bun no spliff inna the courthouse, me friend. But we want to bun with spliff on every now and every then. The same respect we have for them when it's illegal, me friend. Had the same respect and manners we a show for them. Who no legalize the herb and who no get rid of the crackhead then. Never gonna legalize the herb and who no get rid of the heroin man then. Because no listen me right now, me say it no murmur. When you no get them, ya think ya rasta. Me say all drugs mash up every youth structure. It a destroy the world and me say all over. Me talking to the English, the man America. Me talking to Canadian down to South Africa. Me talking most of all to me people in Jamaica. No me leader opposition and me
We
prime
know there
minister.
are many choices
President,
in
the
internet
Queen of
radio,
England
and the
to
staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. You're tuned in to LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk.
Hey, this is Richard Karr inviting you to join me every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific for my show. Speak on it. Say it, own it, believe it. Good conversation with great friends. Tune in every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific right here on the world leader in internet broadcast, LA Talk Live, and the America Talk Live Broadcast Network, where we are more than just talk. See you there.
What up, though? This your man, Ikkor the Wolf, inviting you to join me every first Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the Wolf's Den at LATalkLive.com. Now join me as I spotlight some of the hottest talent of all genres of music. So don't forget to tune in every first Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, exclusively on LATalkLive.com and the AmericaTalkLive.com broadcast network. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk. Get it?
Want to enrich in your radio listening? Do it now with the new WDC radio show, LA Talk Live's new talk rock radio show, Saturdays 4 p.m. Pacific, filled with news, talk, sports, entertainment, and more. Tune in as we fill your weekend with rock and funk from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and today. WDC Radio Show. Listen as we kick off the new generation of radio with talk, rock, and funk. The all-new WDC Radio Show, Saturdays 4 p.m. Pacific on LA Talk Live.
We're calling you out.
Sickle cell warriors, leaders, doctors, and caregivers.
This is The Call.
Tune in to The Call, Saturdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, only on LA Talk Live.
This is The Call.
To sickle cell trait awareness.
This is The Call.
To acceptance of yourself and others around you.
This is The Call.
To finding your purpose through creativity.
This is The Call.
To living above sickle cell.
This is the call to unity in community.
So call in 323-473-3100 to
The Call.
Saturdays 5 p.m. Pacific, only on LA Talk Live.
This is The Call.
Because the same thing where you're going in the world now, my friend. If we don't legalize the herb, me say nothing we end. Not true, the herb gonna get sentenced for it, my friend. We can't take them sin thing, we no want it again. When the herb legalized, we not go show off, my friend. We not go burn no big spliff in front of the police, them. We not go burn no spliff in the courthouse, my friend. But we want to burn with spliff on every now and every then. The same respect we have for them when it's illegal, my friend. Have the same respect and manners we have show for them. Who no legalize the herb, and who no get rid of the crackhead then. Never gonna legalize the herb, and who no get rid of the heroin man them.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to live and quite. I don't know how to describe it. So I got to keep it real with you, man. It's off the chain
keep
up
it real,
here in
man.
the studios
Keep it
of
real,
LA
Rich.
Talk Live. I don't know what to say.
You keep it real rich
about it, man.
Keep
you know,
it real rich.
Keep it real rich tonight. That's what I got to be.
Keep it real rich,
well,
man.
It's the Marijualogist. Every Friday, 4:20 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, with yours truly, Richard Karr, and my esteemed colleague, Ikkor the Wolf. You might know him from such shows as the Wolfston, first Fridays of every month at 8 p.m. Pacific.
Coming up in a few weeks.
Live performances, great conversations. You would not believe what this brother brings to the studios here of LA Talk Live. It's a whole new setup. People are performing and rapping and doing all that kind of
From
stuff.
Grammy
It's
Award
all
winners
the
to platinum
freaking
artists,
chain.
platinum
Yeah,
producers,
let's
to
keep that
one
real.
of the number one NBA draft picks.
No
to
small
perform
thing
right there. You
It's no
dig?
small thing. You know, let's
To
not make no
perform
small
right
thing
here
about
on the
that, man.
Wolfston.
Yeah. All right. So that said, we are live in the studios of LA Talk Live tonight,
Yes.
and this is the one and only The Marijualogist, the only show that explores the global impact of cannabis throughout California and the globe. Richard Karr, again, esteemed colleague, Ikkor the Wolf, and one of our returning champions, Sherry. I got to tell you, you have really put in the yeoman's work of putting this show together.
Yeoman Purser Smith. Remember that on the Love Boat?
Thank
Yeoman
you.
Purser
Thank you
Smith.
so much.
Yep, and she looks so lovely for the Love Boat.
I know. She got a little Love Boat outfit, like type of like coral outfit colors on.
It's my medical world
Yeah.
outfit.
Yeah.
And then I come into my cannabis.
Yeah.
Right. It's all medical.
Yeah, get back in there.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so look,
Thank
a
you
little
for
bit about
having
yourself.
us.
You've been so deferential tonight in terms of just talking about yourself. You really haven't given our tuners out there anything about yourself and what you do and how you're so connected to these great people that you brought here. Because this is a very great environment. You know, these are real bricks. This is a real place. We've been here for a long time advocating and all that stuff. And you've been here before.
Well,
but
she's a pimp, and these are hubs. No,
She brings people together, for sure.
I didn't want to put it like that, but I wanted you to express it
She's
in your
the
own
madam.
words.
You know, I live with intention every day, and I want to.
You live with pimping every day?
My intention is to have
okay.
to live my best life, and that is to create a high frequency life, and that has to do with my environment, and your environment. If you have a clean, healthy, happy environment that's not toxic, then you
Good
can
people around you.
vibrate high,
Mhm.
and you can and be happy and joyful and healthy. And when people are not healthy, then it takes them down. But one of the things is pesticides. So when I learned about pesticides coming into my environment many years ago, I stopped eating pesticides once and for all. Pesticides are a neurotoxin.
What's your favorite pesticide right now?
There's a whole story about, but so I'm passionate about the people and really empowering people with being happy and healthy, and that merges plant medicine. And so I do business development, and I started with a product, award-winning product, Artisan Jam, and infused it with healing oil, and but that helped actually
Talk
a
about your
92-year-old
wait,
who has cancer started consuming cannabis because of that
differential.
jam.
He's not 92.
So Eddie, so that takes it to
Eddie
the patient.
is not 92.
You look great for
I
92.
want to swing back to you,
Eddie and the Funksters.
because I got to tell you, as a fellow humanitarian, you've always been so deferential in your service here, not to us but to other people. From day one, you accepted and received us, two strangers, and then you brought other people in. Not your first time, and then you've come back, and then you continue to commit yourself to this purpose, but you never really take enough time out to talk about your own entrepreneurial endeavors. And we've got plenty of time, so you don't have to worry about if someone else gets their moment in. But I know you got jams, and I've had some.
I don't anymore, actually. This is how the evolution of... I feel like I was a black ops. Well, I went into the cannabis space because I love it, and I know that's why I haven't taken a pharmaceutical. I've taken 2 just recently, like in the last 3 years, but out of almost 3 decades of never consuming a pharmaceutical, because of I use plant medicine, essential oils. I've always consumed cannabis, and now I know it's plant medicine, right? So my passion is to get it out to other people, to educate them. I feel like I've been thrust into this because maybe,
you did create at some point your own product, and you saw
destigmatize
a pathway. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so I feel like I've helped destigmatize it, hopefully, and I want to more, and that's my one of my passions is I want people who have cancer-ridden patients out there, people who have mental disorders, because my mom had mental disorder. I want people to have a happy, healthy family and normalize their bodies and their minds and their spirits and their souls with
back over to the panel.
So that's why I attract these cool people.
Exactly. And before I turn this back over to the panel, I got to tell you how important it is for me, how important it was for Ikkor and I. When we came out to that event, so often we don't see ourselves represented at those events, and the way that you received us was so valuable to us. And then as time went by, the people you've introduced us to and made us realize and feel comfortable as transplants from other states that our own advocacy through this show is so very, very deeply validated by people like you and the people you brought through here. I want you to make no small thing of that, my sister.
Thank you.
You have really been so valuable to us. We meet people in our travels, and we say, hey, here's our card, and I tell people, I don't even carry business cards no more. Go to my website. Because I'm so Ricky digital. But, and you should do that when you meet me. Go to my website. Go to latalklive.com. It'll take you to americatalklive.com. Right on your cell phone, screw an app. You get more from my website than you will from an app. Or, I don't know. The fact of the matter is we're so accessible now, and that you've made us more accessible to these experts that you brought into the studio. I got to tell you, man, you've meant so much to us. And
her bank account number is
088 749.
She doesn't need my money.
Thank you.
She only needs my vote. And I elect you.
Not my president. Not my president.
Anyway, I elect you as the next president of America. You got to get the message out there because you got the people behind you.
You got the
Thank
people
you.
behind
I think it's all
Network.
about high frequency, and all of our frequencies, our hearts in the right place, and our focuses. And now we have products and services along with an important mission. And I feel like everyone's coming together, and that's really what I do. So you want to know my new website? It's not up yet, but I Care Concierge.
Oh,
So that's how I'm bringing it all together: medical, beauty, lifestyle,
fashion. No,
anti-aging.
just messing around. Hemp line.
It's
So
really,
we're going to get Eddie's Oil in two hospices. So next
Eddie's
time we're
Oil.
on your show,
Go get Eddie's
we're going to have
Oil.
stories
There's a very
about
big market for brand ambassadors.
Yeah.
That's something that people aren't really looking at. You know, hey, I can grow. I know what I'm doing. Hey, I've got great product. It's going to sell itself. You know, I get that. But if you don't really understand the value as a business owner, because this is really a business now, you got to find a good brand ambassador out there somewhere. You got to find a way to put your product out there.
But this is the thing, too, is that a brand is that's everybody thinks they come up with a fancy logo, put it on some weed, and sell a product, and it's good and over with. But people are tired of that. People are tired of new companies popping up. People want that have shown integrity, been there for a while.
You're right about that.
Understand that they know what they're doing, have been in this movement and there's people out there that have been doing that. And so branding isn't just, there's tons of new branding companies popping up every day. But teaching the roots of that is really going to be hard, and it's going to be sifting through them, and there's going to be a lot of people, wrong people, making a lot of money. And it's going to, unfortunately, what this whole driven has been from is our movement wasn't about growing weed and having, Mercedes and Lexuses
Being
and stuff.
potheads and being
No, I mean,
rich,
when we started growing in the 90s and early 2000s, it was about producing a good plant that, was just different. And in that, the convenience has always been weed. People think it's the brand. Oh, my face. Put my face on this logo, and people want to come to my face. It ain't shit like that, man. It's the weed. The convenience of marijuana. Marijuana has possessed us to bring it indoors, breed it smaller, make it produce heavier chemicals, and work in growing all these different environments, growing fog, growing water, growing soil, growing rock. We can grow this shit in anything. It has introduced us to inspire us to keep this plant alive and to keep and to fight for it. So it has actually manipulated us. But we think in our egotistical mind that, I give it a 5.7 pH. I'm a fucking genius. Look at my hydro. I cut down in 6 weeks. Look how badass I am. Look at how dope my shit is. Let me put my face on it because you want my face because that's how badass I am. Let me put my nuts all over you. They got it wrong. Because the real thing is cannabis's convenience is the reason why it's successful. Anywhere you go in this world, one thing that is successful is cannabis or its products. You got hash, you got seeds. It is successful.
Hey, weed
it
sell
will succeed.
when cotton don't.
Believe
it
it.
like that.
Amen. And so the brand needs to be respectful. It needs to have integrity. It needs to be real.
I know.
For real.
This beverage company, they had Ganesh on the front, and I'm like, there's just something missing.
Get in your mic, please.
But they took part of Ganesh off, and it felt hollow, more hollow. And Ganesh is ancient Sanskrit, but it does have a spirit and a soul behind it. And brand activation was what I learned as an entrepreneur, that it's the product. But going back to the product, the products affect people when they consume them. So I consumed a beverage, like a soda, that I had in my refrigerator for 6 months. It actually physically made me sick. So the medicine quality that's in all of the edibles, etc., it makes a difference. So when people eat a product with, say, NHO or something, I noticed a difference in their experience. Like it really affected them on all levels. And so it does.
And NHO is my product, which people call it RSO, Rick Simpson oil. But I'm not Rick Simpson. I'm also I'm not branding Rick Simpson. Rick Simpson.
Exactly.
I know Rick Simpson, and Rick Simpson's deal is that don't call it Rick Simpson oil. You're not Rick Simpson. I'm Rick Simpson, and I don't make oil anymore.
I mean, we all make Kool-Aid, don't we?
Yeah.
Exactly. You may put extra sugars in your Kool-Aid, and
Rick Simpson only endorses one product in the entire world, and it's called Phoenix Tears.
Phoenix Tears.
So people making RSO, selling RSO, branding his name, selling this shit product because they're making it with isopropyl alcohol. They're using it with stuff that causes internal problems. And that's where they don't understand it because they're watching an old videos tech on how we all started open blasting in our backyard,
Right.
spraying with
It
Roundup.
all goes back to clean
growing
medicine.
growing what Miracle Grow. We all started somewhere, you know. So it's okay to say, hey, this is where I'm at. Where do I go with this? Because there's tons of tech. The tech is out there. Not all of it is intellectual property and guarded and protected. There's a lot of information that's out there that can help these people, but people get egotistical. They feel like, hey, I put so much into it. You sell what you make. You brand yourself. If I put a lot of money into this and a lot of effort, I want to sell my product. I don't want to sell yours. That's why I made mine called Native Healing Oils instead of RSO.
Right.
So that when Rick Simpson lands here, the people know that I made a product and I had a vision, and in that I use a different process.
Right.
And I wanted to use a full plant extract with different genetics, because if you don't use different genetics, what's constantly changing? That's always happening, and that's mutation of cells. That's why we have cancers and debilitated disorders. The cells, they're mutating constantly. So if we can change the genetic diversity, people that are patients that smoke only OG Kush or sour diesel or only consume edibles with OG Kush or sour, they're never going to get healthy, because eventually the cells are going to figure out that only does this, and we can mutate ourselves to go around it.
Right.
But if we can change the combination of the cannabinoids, we can always change the combination, and we can stop ailments in their tracks.
So
this is why I endorse new breeding companies and new things, but they have to understand what they're doing. Just because they have a room full of females and they get hermaphrodite and now they have a whole bunch of seeds, that's a seed company today. That shit isn't real. That's not how it's supposed to be done. You're supposed to have a male and a true female, and you're supposed to breed these. You're supposed to grow a bunch of these seeds and find out which ones grow really well and stress them out and test these seeds. But people don't teach breeding ethics. You know, there's ethics to this. There's actual honor and respect to this of what I would do on my own, and I get true face value on this product in this industry.
So you would agree that the industry is self-regulated?
Big time.
Big time?
That's why everybody's afraid of regulation.
Big league.
It is. It's checks and balances within the system that have been set up through necessity. So
there is a tremendous amount of pride and joy that farmers, from crop to consumer, put into cannabis, and I found that frequently. I've not been unfortunate, thank God, to stumble across the backyard boogie of mite-infested, fungus-infested cannabis. I've always found myself in the company and at the stewardship of collective owners who were pioneers back in 2009 and 2010, from Venice Boulevard.
You have a great
to
platform.
Van Nuys.
You have a great platform called a radio show.
Yeah.
You're a little blessed, brother.
Yeah.
You know, the normal patient right now that is on Social Security
and no one
or disability.
looked at me that way. I never put that out there. I get you. I know that might seem academic, but the fact of the matter is I didn't go in there like that. I started off saying, hey, I'm a patient.
Yep.
I'll come on out, you know, and let's keep it real. In the early patient days of 2009, 2010, you could run from one collector to the next and get all kind of first-time goodies and freebies. And patients were motivated.
But I'm a patient from 2003 where there was only one club called Compassionate Caregivers. And Yellow House was the only guy setting the standard.
LAPCG.
Where is
And
that located?
they're gone.
That was
Now.
I'm saying that was in
They're on
Southern
Santa
California.
Monica Boulevard in La Brea.
Gone.
Off of Santa Monica La Brea. They set the standard. Gold Star Pharmacies, they set the standard to LA Weed in 2003. And they were the only ones, and they came later. You know.
Well, you know, there was a famous reggae hip-hop artist who had a collective up on La Brea Avenue, right below, just south of San Vicente. And we might be talking about the same spot because there weren't that many. And I think people need to kind of... Matt Lyon had a couple of collectives.
One of the bad
up there.
things is like
we need to remember the pioneers of those industries, because they indeed provided, even in those early days, and that's all I was saying, safe and legal access to good cannabis.
Yeah, the only government facility that is growing cannabis is a horrible grow operation. It's outdoors. It's not a very good strain.
Why is it horrible?
Because it's the strains and the techniques that they're using.
Don't know what they're doing.
They
They
grow
just
Reggies.
don't know what
And
they're
don't
doing.
they freeze
They
dry
growing
it?
Reggies.
Yeah.
Reggies?
They
And
freeze
They
dry
growing
it.
Reggies.
And
They
it's
out there
only
growing
to
them
keep it
Reggies.
and then
Yeah.
send it out to people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And this
so
is-
they keep it for a long time.
Hey, they out
People
there.
need to ask.
And this is the problem.
Trey, they growing
Intellectual property. You get scientists that believe science, and then you get us that have been growing weed for the people.
Yeah.
There's two
Right.
different communications
Right,
there.
right.
It's Chinese and English, and
That's
it's
right.
totally not communication on a
You had a lot
level.
of you had a lot of people that was nervous at first when the dispensaries first started coming out. You had a lot of people saying, "I don't want to smoke that medical weed." That medical weed, they thought it was like really coming from some hospital. And they in there, scientists on there just mad scientists doing. And they like, man, that weed making me feel funny. I'm like, come on, that's psychological, man.
It really
That
is.
is
I
that's
want you
coming
to
from
think
like
about that, what
Joe
he's
Blow
saying.
around the corner got the weed.
As a
Same
distributor,
tree, man.
there are people who are afraid of what they consider to be
medical weed. That's that
the
medical
certain
weed.
strain of cannabis that they might get from collectives that is, too heavy for their minds.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot
Is
of
that
stuff
risk
out there
a little bit?
that there is like way too. It's not a novice person's weed,
Right.
But
With like
then there
30%,
is that
100%.
that other strains that are out there that are lower THCs, that have better entry points. There's different ways of ingesting. There's capsules with hemp oils and THCs and toppings and dressings for things instead of infusing total products or. But a lot of it boils down to education.
6 minutes before the break, I want to get everybody to weigh in on the idea of dosage. We've talked about that here on our show. Dosage.
A lot
dosage
of it
awareness.
A lot of it boils down to the size of the person, how they process things, what different cannabinoids react to their body.
I'm 6'2",
there's a lot of
in case you don't know.
different. There's a lot of different.
That's what I believe that also, but I also do believe that it's just
He
like
said he believed you, right?
they regulated us in we've been, like Rick Simpson said, we've been brainwashed by the white coat. They dictate our bodies to us. They tell you to take this so many milligrams every 4 to 6 hours, whether you need it or not. They don't tell you. If you feel good, who cares? Take it again.
I could have a bigger heart than a 6'2"
I'm
guy.
glad you said that,
Yeah.
Eddie. I'm glad you said that because I always been calling it the white coats. Everybody run to the white coats because I had a debate with some people again, and they debate me about CBD, and I said, well, look, because they said, man, it might not go in anybody's body, it might not work. I said, you over there smoking right now. So I said, but yet everybody out here is guilty of going to the doctor, getting a prescription. He tear off that paper and give you this. You go right to the pharmacy, get that shit filled, go right home and take that shit. You don't even know what it is.
You make
You ain't
yourself
even
get
researched
used
it and did none of that.
And you make yourself get used to it. You know how many people I've known that take 2 weeks of a medication that was making them feel totally like shit,
Terrible.
just to get taken out of it the next doctor's appointment in 2 weeks. You
In
know,
2
that's
weeks.
what they do to us. They put us on a time schedule frame of fuckery. That's their system. Their system is every 4 to 6 hours, every 2 weeks. Go get your blood work, come back and hope. It's hope that you don't get sick, but take these medications. And in that, they just rule us. And so, just like you said earlier, you get covered in this cloud in the shadow. And cannabis breaks that. And eating healthy helps that also.
Exactly,
But they
of
don't
course.
teach us eating healthy.
Not-
You know,
not at all.
when I found out over
Mask it with this.
I helped 217 people pass away, and I found out that I stopped counting after that because it got frustrating. This is
Right.
the early years of
No doubt.
This is the early years of Prop 215. It was like 2001, 2002, 2003. I thought that's what Prop 215 was. You go in there, you help people pass away, and then I realized, like, wait a minute, this is for people that want to stay alive, that want to be
Right.
healthy and want
Yeah.
to be kicking. This isn't, it shouldn't be the last resort. It should be
Right.
the first call. Everybody teaches as the last resort. Well, I got cancer. I went through chemo radiation. I'm gonna try this cannabis now. Like, dude, you've already been ravaged. There's nothing I could do for you so much. Like,
Exactly.
I'm gonna put Band-Aids on a holy bridge.
Exactly.
There's nothing I could really
That's
do.
what
on
I
that.
told. Like I was telling the gentleman, he was like, "Man, I had gout for 30 years. I've been taking the same medicine that they've been giving me. They ain't doing nothing for
do
me."
shit.
That's what made me start telling them about the CBDs and everything.
And
Right?
so
I said, researching, man. That's what they
dosage goes
telling
like
me.
this.
They said, "Well, how you know it's gonna work for him?" I said, you sit here just heard him say for 30 years he been taking something that ain't helping
Didn't
him,
work.
and you gonna tell me about something that's known to work? And then I tell everybody to research it first. Don't just take my word for it.
But
Go
there's
research
so much
it.
information out there that might not be accurate on the internet. So
There's not.
it's safe
And
it's safe access to information as well as education, safe access to education. So
And it's also the biggest thing of education is an agricultural product. You cannot, just like your strawberries that grow off your strawberry plant, not all of them grow equally ripe at the same time. So
exactly.
it's the same plant. It's producing fruit at its healthiest time of its life, and that's what it's going to give you.
And
And so cannabis, at different
yeah,
chemicals.
different people respond to the cannabinoids differently. There's
True.
different terpenes that will react to different. So there's
True.
a lot of different variables that need to be tested and studied, but in an accurate and open and honest environment. And I think that there is a lot of potential for that, and it's going that way. I mean, the cat's out of the box.
I read a
All right.
study. I
So
read a
hold-
study that of an oncologist said that they wish they could. They was doing studies on it. They wish they could bring it into the medical society. That they said, well, they was actually slipping it in on some of their patients.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she said that I don't know what whatever the property is, whatever. I guess it's probably like moves around or whatever, but we cannot figure out which CBD it is that's doing the magic. Whatever.
Yeah. So in testing, so they look at it. So we worked with testing facilities in Washington for the last few years, and here in California. And when you look at a test result, when you send in your plant to get tested, you have these peaks, and those peaks are CBD, CBG, THC, THCA. But then they have all this fuzz that doesn't have any names or labels yet, and they tell us that that's just noise.
Right.
That's not noise. That's the entourage of the plant. That's the plant. That's the soul of the plant.
Working,
and so they understand this already, is that when you use topicals, you get anywhere from 2 to 8% saturation of cannabinoids. When you smoke, you get 18 to 22%. Now, these numbers ain't accurate, but I've been told this before. And so when you use edibles, you can get to a 30 to 40% saturation. Hopefully, if the product is grown well and made well.
All right. So
and suppositories through the rectum was 80 to 90% saturation of cannabinoids in the body.
Let's hold that thought.
Dosage.
We've got a caller on the line. Wait a minute. We got a caller on the line. Caller, thank you for being so patient. What's your name?
Where you calling
from? Rep your city. And don't be shy.
Hello.
Now you're being shy.
Oh.
Your data plan is messed up.
Caller, can you hear us? What's your name? Where you calling from?
You must be on Verizon.
What's your name? What's your sign?
You have to stop talking for him to hear us if it's on echo. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
You have to stop talking for him to hear you.
They've been partaking too.
Oh, God, can I get on?
You're on.
Hey, Uncle, once again.
Hello?
Hello, caller.
Hello?
There you go.
Yep. Oh, y'all got a new caller?
You're the new caller.
Is that me?
No, that's you.
Okay. This is going to blow your mind.
Okay,
Ikkor, this is your Uncle
I know.
Berto.
This is my uncle. I hear you. I know the voice. What up, though, Unc?
Mom is on her last leg. She's dying. Guess what?
You broke up.
That might have been the wrong time to take that
This
call.
okay. It's reality radio, brother.
Ikkor, your grandmother's about to go.
I know.
All right, so we're going to move on, and what we might be able to do is... see
Why don't you let my uncle talk?
All right, go ahead.
But golly, man, I'm so discombobulated right
That's
now.
all right. Get your mind right. Get your mind right and come with it.
They did prescribe the pill because I said it ain't gonna get her high. They said no, just the properties that make her eat. Mother has not eaten in the last 2 days, big baby.
Okay.
Your grandmother has not eaten in the last 2 days.
Okay.
So I don't know who the guy you're interviewing. And I want to respect him. I do respect him and what he's saying. Are you guys listening?
Yeah, we hear you. We listen to you.
Bless.
Okay. Rocky, I am so discombobulated right now. They say I am this, I'm that. I'm not. Oh, dude, Rocky, I'm going through so much because my mother is just. She might die in the next 2 minutes.
Okay.
I've been at the hospital for the last 8 days, 14 hours a day. I am worn out, Rocky. But I'm so glad I picked up all this. I was like, let me call you. And I'm so discombobulated, I can't even dial the right number.
You all right? You dialed the right number. You got to me.
I got the number. Now, what you guys are talking about? Listen, marijuana. You know my friend Ivan. You know I'm a musician, Ivan. Ivan, I'm calling you Ivan. I done played with everybody and everything. Ivan has MS. He smokes weed on a daily basis. It's kept him alive. We have 5 friends right here in the greater Detroit area that have died because they withered up and they didn't smoke no weed or do the oils or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You know I brought that stuff on.
I just know weed has a awesome property in it to cure cancer, glaucoma. Everybody knows this. The cure for everything is out here. The medical field is full of bull crap. I'm not going to say no bad words. And we know that. All they want to do is treat you. They don't want to cure you. Look at the doctors they done killed who had the cures for everything. Wake up, the world. Wake up, planet. Give me a damn break.
They're waking
All
up.
the properties to cure anything is right here. God didn't just make this planet. He have a cure for everything. And a lot of this stuff is man-made. Ebola, AIDS. That's all man-made shit. And then they want to tell you that
Prove it.
it
Prove
came
it.
from Africa.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
We are Hebrew Israelites. And
No, you're not going to say that here. This is a marijualogist. We speak truth to reality. Prove it.
Call me black anymore.
Look here,
I want to offer her something as a
An
caregiver.
original Jew, baby. We are the original Jews, black people.
Prove
all
it,
of the people that look like me, like you, Ikkor, like all of us. We are the original everything. And we're all the creatures and the people. I shouldn't call us creatures. We're all the people in the
We
Bible.
need documentation.
Black Jews matter too.
Let's go there.
It's all good.
I want to offer her
so do
something
white
real
Jews.
quick.
White
though,
Jews
as
matter
I want to
too.
offer her a
Orange
day spa
Orange
treatment.
juice.
She can't come to that.
All right,
Huh?
anyway.
She ain't gonna be able to move to that. No, my grandmother. She's not gonna. She's on her
Yeah.
last leg.
All right, so look here, Unc. We
The
going
caregiver.
On her last
Now get that to my
oh,
other
Rocky,
auntie. She's got her
I
leg.
have
My auntie's
been
got her leg
tripping out.
amputated.
I had a little tear for
My auntie
about
got
a
her
minute,
auntie
and that was
amputated,
it.
so you
'Cause
can
I'm
hear
watching
that.
her
They in
go
Detroit
down.
though. They in Detroit.
We can send them CBD.
They in Detroit. Yeah, my auntie
Michigan's
definitely.
a
Let's
medical
get
My
some
auntie
growers.
definitely needed.
Let's
She
get some
got
growers up
cancer.
there to start making oils, and that's where it's about.
There's growers in Michigan.
We have
No
the
doubt.
tech, we have the knowledge,
And I got all the
and
people
why don't
up
people
there.
do it?
I got everybody up there that's in place. You know.
You know, and the problem is that they can't. They can and they do. In
Yeah,
Washington, they charge $100 a gram for this product.
I know.
And to get native healing oils, Rick Simpson oil, Phoenix Tears, cannabis oil, Indian hemp oil is what he actually called it when he found it in the pharmacopoeia book. It's needed.
So let me cut in for right now because
Yeah.
they're doing it in pill form. They kind of clutch it up because they're not doing it. It ain't a liquid form because mom's not getting high. They're extracting just the thing to make you eat. My mother hasn't eaten in the last 2 days, and it's so. Oh my God, she looks like a character from Dr. Seuss. Her mouth is all and her mouth is open, tongue hanging out.
Hey,
It's
Bert.
Oh,
Berto.
Understand.
Berto.
Oh,
Get her some THC.
Really,
Berto. Berto.
Get her some THC.
Berto.
what?
Go.
Give her some THC.
Tell my mother. So when the next time, just call my mother tonight, and tell her to go up there with those drops, and to put those drops
Right.
and put those drops under Grandma Rock's tongue.
Yep, because understand this, man. All the years of all the research that you hear of us curing cancers and all this other thing, we've only had CBD available to us,
Right.
access to us for the last 5 to 6 years. Most of this work that we've been
Right.
doing since the early 2000s has been full THC, nothing but THC. From every grower that there's been available, THC has been the number one thing available we've been making medicine with. And when you hear that people were being survived of cancers and tumors and seizures, it was mostly THC that was given to them. Now with the CBD that's available, people are paying $300 for an ounce of CBD oil for seizures. It's not excessed. A lot of people aren't using this. You're not hearing those miracle stories of those medications being used. You're hearing miracle stories of OG Kush, Sour Diesel, Blue Dream, Sensi Star. You're hearing these genetics that are making these oils that are making this product because that's what's accessed by the growers right now. Available. ACDC's coming out. People are getting access to it, but it's not on a heavy scale to where they're going to find access
What are
to this medicine.
ACDCs? I know that's a whole new trend going on in the growth community.
Rocky?
Huh?
Does your guest agree with that? Let him talk. Does your guest agree with that?
What is to agree with what?
With giving her what you're saying.
It ain't gonna mess with nothing.
Yeah.
It's not gonna interfere with the hospital medicine.
I've helped tons of people right before they pass give it, and if you want to have any clarity with your loved one and give them any dignity before they pass, like you said, any minute she can go. Give her some THC, watch her kiss you on your forehead, laugh at her skin because it feels funny. Let her hear her hair grow again, and let her feel good. And when you see that, she'll tell you she loves you, and she'll feel at peace. And that's all you can do when it's this part of this time.
Berto, tell my mother to
agree
take
with
those.
my nephew then, right?
Yeah.
Your
Definitely.
guest, I didn't catch his name.
Eddie.
You agree, Ikkor?
Yes, of course. Tell my mother to take those drops up there.
That's man, you know what? I was watching the live stream. It was like, ooh, let me call in. Thanks for having me on the show. Let me let somebody else call in.
All right. Tell
Ikkor,
my mother. Call my mother and tell her to take those drops up there when she goes see Grandma. All right.
Okay, I will. Thanks for having me on the show. And then, Ikkor, I want to be on the show. Actually, I want to be on.
You are on the show.
Yeah,
You're on the show.
Like I didn't know earlier.
You own the show. What the hell you talking about? It's my uncle. Why I oughta.
I got me a job on a movie out here. I met all these cool people. After all that, I met Eddie Griffin and all them people in Vegas when I went there and moved.
Don't drive in a car with Eddie Griffin.
Man, go take care of grandma. Go take care of grandma, man. I'll be home. Go take care of grandma.
I'm up there 24/7.
Ikkor, he's the caregiver?
You know, I'm up there. I'm doing it. And I will tell your mom, I'm going to call her right now. Thank you guys for having me on the show.
Yeah, tell my mother I get her some more drops.
Let them reel in all this because I love it.
Good luck.
You know, I ain't been smoking. I would love it.
When you need to, big baby. When you need to calm your ass down.
I was going to say, if you're a caregiver, I'm going to give you a day spa.
You can't have it in your body until, if you're going for a job. Big baby, come on now.
Man.
Unless you live in California. And then how are they handling that?
They're not.
It's legal, but we don't want you because you have it in your body. That's
I'm gonna send you some suppositories.
Straight
Suppositories.
Straight up.
Use them
That's a
sideways.
song.
Option 2.
It's a song.
It's like going to the job. They ain't checking for alcohol.
Well, I'm gonna send you these suppositories. You shoot them things.
Go
on and bullet them things where they supposed to go. All right, big baby, we got to get out of here. It's so about to get over with. I love you, Aunt. I love you. Tell grandma I love her, man. Give her a kiss from me.
Our condolences.
I will definitely.
Bless and respect.
Bless her.
Love you, y'all.
All right.
All right, so you want to take one last break before we take it to the top of the hour and wrap it on out? Put a bow on this thing?
Yeah, I guess we can,
We haven't spoke quite enough because we got a studio full of people. Some people might want to jump on.
I know we got people in the background. We got CBG Genetics in the background over there, representing out in Orange County. She came in with Sherry Bale.
Yeah, let's take a few minutes out.
We got Heather from the OC.
Got Tetris, Shamblizi, and the Heezy.
Chester Samblizi and the Heezy.
Serious Confection.
Tetris.
Tetris.
Put it together the right way.
And we have a double cancer survivor from cannabis.
2 times.
Yeah.
That's Serious
2
Confection.
chains.
We got Roger and Leaf from NBC Universal.
Roberts and Leaf from NBC Universal.
Yes. We're heading over to the Hitman Coffee Shop after this to check out some stuff, get ready for some production stuff that's happening at the Hitman Coffee Shop.
We can't leave just yet. We're going to take it to the top of the hour, right to 7 o'clock. Take a little bit of time out to play some cannabis-infused rhythms and blues.
We haven't even talked about these products and shit, man.
Yeah, option 2 is a rectal suppository. Option V is a vaginal suppository.
We got rectal suppository.
Ass and coochie.
In the butt.
Ass and cuckoo.
All right, listen. This is the Marijualogist. We'll be back. Don't go away.
Yeah.
That's the best thing you can do. Doctor smoking, nurses smoking, judges smoking, even the lawyer too.
Thank you for tuning into LA Talk Live and the Talk Live Broadcast Network, original reality radio, and crafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk. Stay tuned.
Legally, you got to legalize it. Legally. Man rights, you know. Well, this is the tune that unauthorized authority banned from the radio station. But I know them can't ban it right here.
Yeah.
tuberculosis, even pneumorrhaphosis. So you got to legalize it. Don't criticize it. Legalize it. Yeah, and I will advertise it. Birds eat it and love it. Fowls eat it and the goats love to play with it. So you got to legalize it. Begging you to don't criticize it. Legalize it, yeah, and I will advertise it. Got to legalize it. Don't criticize it. Legalize it, yeah, and I will advertise it. Got to legalize it. Don't criticize it. Got to legalize it, yeah, and I will advertise it. It's good for the flu.
Speeding through the streets of Los Angeles, California, right outside the studios of LAX. This is LA Talk Live and the American Talk Live Broadcast Network, and I am your host tonight and moderator on the live episode of the Marijualogist. This is Richard Karr. Some cannabis-infused music. A little Bob Marley and Pizza Tosh in the background. Legalize it. Yeah, man. And, you know, I got to tell you, man, it's off the chain in the studios tonight. We got lots of great talent. And it's real green and smoky. And we don't mind because we're all patients and we're all advocates. And we're no longer ashamed of our patienthood, of our advocacy. We don't need to hide it. So legalize it. Sin,
Be loud about it.
He is from a hood. He's from the
about it.
parent. He's from the patient hood, huh?
Yeah, patient hood,
All
baby.
right.
Yeah, patient hood. That's what it's all about.
You throw up a pee?
Yeah, man. Throw the pee up.
Pee ever P-Town?
Yep, man. All right, so in the studio, you know, Richard Karr, Ikkor the Wolf, bunch of people whose names I don't even remember. That's part of our smoking good ganja, and I've been fellowshipping with the folks who've joined us here tonight. Starting from my right to my left, I want to start with my good friend here. Tell our audience about yourself and your company.
I'm passionate about taking care of people who want to live a healthy, happy life at a high frequency level. And it's Eye Care Concierge, and it's coming soon. So it's merging medical, mainstream, cannabis.
And concierge, right?
Yes, and business consulting, because I've been in this business, in this facet for in many facets, we'll just say. So I've learned a lot about brand development, product development, everything.
And she make fingernail extensions.
That's hilarious.
Fingernail extensions.
Suppositories.
That you stick up
I
your
promote
butt.
Ew,
Sticking right up your butt.
Ew,
Right in
ew.
your
So
butt.
This is, in fact,
Two
a,
T's.
What?
What in the bud?
Yeah. Part of my brand
Yeah.
platform was bringing together craft farms and helping people go on weekend retreats, etc., so that they can get educated, get back to nature, get their feet in the dirt, and understand about where their food number one comes from. A lot of people don't know that, but as far as cannabis, so going back to what Eddie mentioned earlier about the farmers who are the artisan farmers, the craft farmers who've been around for decades crafting this industry and using sustainable, highly innovative farming methods to create high quality medicine for patients. So how, based on regulations and what can we do, how are the craft farmers going to be saved so that we can populate the land with organic.
Captain, save them.
It's got to be the farmers. They have to step up and fill the gap, because the gap that's going to be missing.
Is that too much pressure on the farmer?
It is going to be, because regulation is going to cost a lot of money. Those people are going to be able to sell grams for $2 to $5 in a wholesale market.
How does regulation look to a farmer? What's that look like?
Personal, after running regulation, is scary as hell. You pay a lot of money for regulation, and they change constantly of what you can actually put into your products.
What do? They come to your place.
And they make sure that you're not using, they have a list of pesticides and chemicals you cannot use in the facility, and they make sure that those aren't there. If you do, you get fined. They go through all. It's all fine. Wow. It's a ticketing joke now. It's pretty much what it is, and they just want to gouge you all the way through. But they also find things that are very helpful. There's a company in Washington that got caught with using systemic pesticides, and they're up to their 16th generation of clones, and they're still showing levels of the systemic pesticides in them. So we're getting research from these, knowing that these levels do stay in these plants for years and years, and they claim that those plants came over with their medical system. Now that they're in recreational, that they didn't know that they're clean testing for medical. So clean testing for medical wasn't regulated for state standards for them to make money on. So now
Since when? Because safe and legal access was one of the biggest undertakings of Americans for safe access. Mm-hmm. Don Duncan, if you remember that name, and Oaksterdam, when they were located on San Vicente, right there across from the Beverly Center, diagonally. They've undertaken this topic of safe and legal access. Well, it starts with safe.
Yeah.
Are the dogs having sex?
Yeah. They definitely are. They're shaking the floors.
You need to
get a room.
Slip them a suppository.
Get a doghouse.
White poodles matter.
Poodles on a good one.
He said white poodles matter. All right, so
I think that
hilarious.
I think they play with that word "safe" a little bit.
Yeah. Well, safe is important because
there's a couple meanings, but behind safe, it could mean like chemical-free, pesticide-free, whatever, cannabis, or it could mean a safe place to access cannabis, which I think that's what they're referring to.
As a
so you said it's a ticketing. What'd you say? It's a ticketing joke or whatever. What'd you say? It's a ticketing joke. How they just coming through with giving out tickets or whatever. What'd you say earlier?
Oh yeah, they're just finding everybody. It's just mostly a fine. No, you
they might as well just come in there and just paint red curves inside of the facility.
Instead of them putting on bulletproof vests and magazines full of bullets and kicking your door in. Now they Poindexter shows up with a calculator and a scale and says, "Hey, guys, check it out." And he brings an inspector with him.
Just paint a red curb inside.
All right, so wait a minute.
That's what it's equivalent to. Bullshit tickets.
Okay, hold on.
He shoot threes.
It's something that can save them money. Trey does.
Yeah.
As far as microbes, so one of the you can speak more intelligently on this, but as far as regulation goes, you do not want to have microbes or bacteria or any fungus on your crop, or it's all burned. And so that's what I love about Trey.
Collectives at the collective level, and they're actually looking at your flowers and your product, and they're examining it for cleanliness. Infestation, mold, all those things. That's happening. And may I ask, without personally identifying yourselves, what city does this happen in? Who has the legislative budget to regulate at that level?
Out there.
You said Poindexter. What?
Well,
not your city, but
in Washington, they had what was called the LCB, which was at first the Liquor Control Board. Now the Liquor Control Board controlled all the liquor licenses in the state, regulated liquor stores, bars, all these other things. Well, now it's still the LCB. It's the Liquor and Cannabis Board, and Liquor and Cannabis Board is directly paid by your taxes and everything that the infrastructure of recreational, for them to go out there and make sure that these companies are of standards and they're not causing problem on the community. They're not, contaminating the
All
water
that makes
system.
sense, and one would respect
You got to make sure they're not contaminating the water system. You got to make sure that they're paying their employees. This is a real business now, so you got to think about when you go get hired
They have one of
at
those
Target
here.
or Walmart. The
It's all about
the
covering
BO
their asses. The more they have to cover
Bureau
their
of
asses,
Medical
the more
Cannabis
They're gonna start
Wow.
drug
Do
testing
that.
at the dispensaries when you get hired.
Yeah, but most
Testing
Well,
for
with
THC.
most of these- fair, though.
most of these
Would that be
companies,
fair?
most of these
I'm
companies
just
in
not-
California though are not state regulated and they're personally regulated. So it's companies that come up with an idea, make a brand, make a name, and they go out there and they say we are the standard. But
We're the regulators.
Nobody's
standard,
regulating the regulators.
Yeah.
In the state of
Regulators?
Washington,
Now
yeah,
up.
straight up,
Right.
and Oregon, Colorado, and Washington, the state took over. Now we don't agree with the state. We don't agree with the government at all. But the government has always made a law or made something, and we as society
Mandatory minimum.
follow it.
Follow
we
it.
follow it. So
Yeah.
unless we have the
Without
money to
challenging
pay,
it.
unless we have big money and lobbyists to go fight and change the laws or construe it to my benefits, it's not going to happen. I don't have that kind of money.
Right.
And so what's happening now is that cannabis is the highest regulated raw product in the world. No matter what you look at, nothing is regulated as hard as cannabis is. So now we have companies that are in there trying to lobby against what we can actually spray on our plants and all these other things. Which me, as helping people in and the healthful community part, why are we going to down-regulate cannabis? Why don't we up-regulate our food? Why don't we up-regulate?
about that?
Why don't we up-regulate
How
the
about
things
that?
that we live on?
Audio
Upregulate.
disturbance.
No, you're right.
And so it's.
Yeah.
My whole thing was that instead of us regulating what more we could spray on our plants, we can't spray a lot of stuff on our plants. That's a good thing. So why can't we regulate what they're spraying on our broccoli, on our cauliflower, on
Right.
our
true.
It's
our
headed that way.
jalapenos?
Exactly.
It's weird. The cannabis market is starting to dictate how the big agriculture market is going to move. Because there's a
This
lot.
to us, you're gonna have to do this to that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and when you have a crop that is so valuable and you have to pay so much attention and you put so much work and effort into something to make it clean, and then at the last minute you're nailed with some kind of something out of left field that'll just ruin your whole process. And a lot of people put a lot of money into standardizing their practices, and a lot of that comes from how they've done it for so long and been efficient at it. So they're scared to change one thing or another, and this is like large agriculture markets, because if you're banking on X amount of money across the board, then you have to be able to guarantee X amount. And when you're faced with a new technology of a very old thinking, I mean, bacteria, like the way that soil conditioning works is the soil, if the healthy soil produces healthy plants, and healthy plants produce good food. And when you attack something like the big agriculture does, which is the same as big pharma, it's feed, like treat the issue, or treat the symptoms, not the issue. And you have a lot of things that, like he was saying, get buried into these genetics, and it's really hard to get rid of them when there's simple practices that lower cost and improve efficacy of what you're trying to bring to market, and provide safe and healthy, clean products, medicine, whatever it is that you're trying to do. And it's going to take the people who keep speaking up to continue to keep speaking up and requesting from their grower, because the people dictate the market. If the people are uneducated and don't care, and I'm sure you've met quite a bit of growers who have smoked
that's
some
conundrum, 'cause
wacky ass weed that are
That's-
pretty
that's
freaked out.
Backyard boogie signs.
That's the conundrum. You said the
check this
people
out.
generate the demand, but
they
they
got a
don't know
smell
what they
to it.
want.
Exactly.
No.
And I've heard this from distributors who go to inner city communities who say, "Hey, I want that gas,
That gas, that cake.
right?
Yeah, that cake.
They want a certain smell. They want a certain
Yeah.
olfactory response
Yep.
before they think that it's
Because
worth the money."
it's a memory sense enhancer, and
Sure it is.
It brings you to a point in time where things are easier.
And, rappers don't help either. So you got
They so
rappers on
don't.
there smoking that gas and all this
Smoking
other
that
shit.
shit,
Those
right.
kids want
Smoking
it. You know
that
what I
cake, I
mean?
want that cake.
We threw chalice. You know how many
Smoking that
kids?
quiche.
Jungle Boys.
Smoking on that
It's their
quiche.
fault. Jungle Boys with the birthday cake, showing those fat ass nugs that they grow with the
Right.
killer design because they know how to grow hydroponically and they're very skilled at what they do.
Exactly.
And they have a heavy following and they're growing in East LA. They're employing over 100 locals in East LA. You know what I mean? Like, this is something that it's supposed to be, grassroots organization.
Yeah.
What Dennis Perone wanted Proposition 215 to be, and that was community and compassion. And we
they
have to
put a
make a
lot of
business.
work
We have
back
to
out
make
into the
we have to make a business out of it for sure. I mean, you spend $1 million on a facility, you need to make $2 to keep it going.
Exactly.
And that's understandable. So the greed thing is one thing, but being you don't need to be greedy in this industry
Sure
because the
don't.
money will
It's
come
everywhere because the flower is always going to be needed.
So show love to the flower, and it'll give it back to you. And that's what this
Exactly.
industry is just lost because everybody's trying to win it and get their face
Yep.
on that stat.
Especially
I want my face on that
Especially
stat.
the people who haven't never even smoked the plant, the flower, and they just jumping right in
And they're
just
waking
want to
up
make
right now.
money.
I went to the Medical Marijuana Business Expo in Vegas.
We the
this year
frontline
in
people.
November. And you know what? There was a guy
yeah.
that got off the plane, and he was there at the expo, and he goes, I'm really excited about this endeavor. I'm in this industry 6 hours, and I have 2 investors, and I can't wait to get going in this. I
He
said,
ain't
"You've been in
smoked,
this
he
for
ain't
6
smoked the
hours."
flower in his life, probably.
No,
Because
he's from Georgia.
Because
He's from Georgia.
know how to
He
crunch,
was
he
in
crunch
Vegas.
numbers. You know how to crunch numbers. You
Amen.
know?
And that's what most of it was. The gentleman that I was working with last.
But
he
I got a
went-
slight
he went
issue
to-
with that still because
he went
I've
there.
been locked up for this shit. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And it's
Oh, yeah.
front
That's-
lining.
yeah.
And then you got people that just jumping right in. Hey, never
Got a lot of money.
Never
Come
had
on,
to,
guys,
never had to
I'm
look
here to-
around the corner. Never had to like think smart. You know,
They
to
don't even
outsmart
know
the
the
cops.
struggle.
This is-
Don't
but
know
this-
how to
They don't
outsmart
even
the
know the
cops and
pain.
keep
That's
your
why it'll never be
organization
buried.
going.
They don't even know the pain.
And this is
The
the problem of
pain.
it. So
We
we
share
have
it.
regulation and licensing coming up now. We have that coming up in the state, and we're all able to allegedly get a piece of the pie. But we're not, because it's the cities that are doing this are only giving the licenses to the city council members' family, to the people that are the real estate moguls of the cities. I've been watching this in numerous cities all over the state because I've been
Oh, it's
consulting a whole
insane.
bunch of cities.
Santa Ana.
So you know who's winning?
Costa
Yeah,
Rica.
exactly. Every one of them. Name them all. Name them one. And, that's where the money's going to go. The first 5 years of this industry is going to go to people that are giving money to political parties, and the people that own real estate, the people that have the land. So if you want, that's a consultant I can give to the people. If you have your uncle owns property, he needs to see if he can annex that for cannabis and bless up the family. Because
Exactly.
what's going to happen right now is that big real estate guy that's not in touch with the people.
Right,
he lives
right.
he lives in another city, and he comes and buys home in your hood,
Like
and
Detroit.
he's
Yeah.
renting
For the
and he's
property.
renting it out to the projects. Like, those are the people that are putting the money in this thing that doesn't give a shit about the projects and wants to make money off the projects, and they don't
Yeah.
care about the poor. And what's the one thing that's most accessible in poverty projects?
Smoking
Fucking weed.
trees.
Yeah.
Weed is everywhere.
Everywhere.
So they know
Yeah.
if we can access the weed and provide it to the local,
Hood.
projects, then we can monopolize the shit out of this.
And that's when the integrity goes down.
Big time,
The
because they don't give a
integrity of
shit
the
what they
plant.
want. The customer
Absolutely.
don't know what they want. We're
Yeah.
going to give them what they
Yeah.
want.
Yeah,
Don't give 'em what they
exactly.
want.
Well, if we
They
can give them
tell
They will
something
give them
good,
pesticide weed.
let's
Yeah.
give them something good.
And we can
that's what-
control killing them as well.
So it is
So we'll
self-regulated.
slow drag
Absolutely.
them.
It goes back
We'll
to
slow
branding.
drag them.
Yep.
We'll just violate them.
Cherry, give me
Self-regulated.
1 2 1
Yeah.
2.
1 2 1 2.
There we go. I just want to make sure.
So
you do
listen,
that.
I want us
know
to talk
you
about
wanna-
these products too.
I mean,
you know what I
please.
mean? Let's please talk about these
What's a
products.
1 2 1 2?
Meaning, I just want to make
check
sure
your
you're
mic. Check
on
your
the
mic.
mic. Yeah.
Mic check,
I
1
just wanna
2.
check
Okay,
your mic.
1 2 1
There we go.
2.
You sound good. Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about these products, man. It's enlighten us
Well,
on these.
you
talk
wanted
about
to talk about dosing. So as far as what I've learned with, I've been smoking since I was 15 and self-medicating myself. But when it comes to edibles, I will tell you, I feel very responsible. So when I had my summer solstice beach party, I was the guard at the door with my edibles, because I interviewed people. I said, "What's your history? Have you ever done an edible, et cetera?" Because it can be high dose, can
Right.
be very,
Scary.
Yeah, I had to get a hotel room one time, and I've never been affected like that. So this right here, you get a drip of this infused honey. It's very delicious.
Who is it made by?
I will say Serious Confections.
Serious Confections.
Serious Confections. So it's very important to read the label, number one. So from my marketing degree in college about food, you read the label.
Yeah,
If it has isopropyl alcohol, like you talked about earlier, take it out of your life. But
Yeah.
going
Yep.
back to dose, you just want to dose yourself. I also want to talk about dosing with pesticides. So just understand where the infusion comes from. Where does the medicine come from? It makes a difference.
That
Right.
makes extremely
Next product.
important.
I have. You got these?
Yeah.
Talk about
Yeah.
theirs.
No.
that-
We're talking about.
Yeah, talk about the.
So I make a couple of products. What the pamphlet was you showed. I make low dose candy caps, which start from 5 milligrams up to 50 milligrams of THC, And that's because I deal with old elderly ladies and old elderly men that, have problems, never smoked cannabis in their life. They're in their 80s. They need to use this on a respectable level. And so with the respectable level is a low dose. You have to initiate them.
Hold that up right quick. No, right in front of him. That's his camera right there.
And so
hold it up.
You have to be able to. These are the CBD. These are the CBD only ones.
Yeah. Wait, now hold on. So those are what?
These are canna caps. These are coconut oil infused.
Right.
And these are CBD only. I have a THC option. I have a THC CBD option, and I have a CBD only option.
All right.
And so I cater to all three of these because some people don't want CBD. Some people just want THC. So my whole deal with the canna caps.
Explain the difference.
These right here are what's called a microdose. So a microdose is you can take the syringe, which is 500 to 1,000 milligrams of THC for a gram, and go on an entheogenic trip, visit your ancestors, and maybe see some beautiful colors. Ooh. But you probably freak out a little bit. And that's not medicinal. We're not trying to go there.
Right.
Yeah, eventually you'll get there because most people that have cancers, people do recommend a gram a day. I recommend whatever you can take. And so with that, when I deal with a lot of cancer patients or AIDS patients, they're really nervous about using cannabinoids, and they didn't have good experience in the 80s or the 90s with weed. And so when you give them a capsule, you're able to you can better regulate on how it works into their body. So if you're able to give them something and you take them 25 milligrams of CBD or 50 milligram, a 2-to-1 THC CBD ratio, you're able to give them more of a comfort zone. You can put them into something and get them more relaxed into it. They're already accustomed to taking capsules and pills, so it's already something they're familiar with.
Right.
So you keep them in their familiar zone. They don't feel so threatened by rolling a joint, seeing weed, seeing hash, or seeing dabs. Now they feel like they're breaking the law, and a lot of these people are really afraid of that stuff. And so you want to come through with things that are more respectful and medically, conditioned and expressed already, so that they're not lost in the mix.
And so a child can take those as well, pure CBD.
Yes, we do. We actually have a couple children that have been taking these.
You make product for animals?
Yes, these are safe for animals. Coconut oil. We make a grapeseed oil and avocado oil. Also, grapeseed oil is not good for pets because it attacks the renal and could shut down their kidneys.
Okay.
So that's the only one that's not. We don't offer grapeseed oil to pets, but we do offer coconut oil and avocado oil because those oils are good and healthy for them. Okay. And so a low dose, you'd be able to give it to them and bring them on and carry and get them to learn how to use the medicine and get accustomed to it, so it's not a heavy drive.
Right.
And then we make our suppositories, which option 2 that you're holding is respectfully called option 2, because when you walk into a collective or dispensary, you don't want everybody laughing and jiggling and joking because you're asking for suppositories.
Hey, can I get some of those?
Bullets, you know what I'm saying? That's how it happens. This was made.
And then the guy behind the counter be like, "Oh yeah, hold on," grab he got his hand get like real big.
Yeah, that's
these right here.
Yeah, you want those, right? Suppositories for 2.
Damn,
suppositories for 2.
A rap song.
And so you know what?
Pretty girl right next to you, like damn.
So let's get to the real point why we made these. My friend Fumo, he was an activist. He made a product called Fumo Pipes, which is like a steamroller, like Incredibles, that you have those a sticker on there. And so he was a Mexican activist in Seattle, and he did a lot of stuff for Telemundo and Television. And he's did a lot of activism on the Mexican side.
We have his banner on the back of that monitor.
He passed away last year, unfortunately. And he gave me my dog.
That's his sticker back there?
No. That's the other company, but that's the pipe a lot of people know, but his company is called La Fumo Pipe.
Wow.
And so his name was Bernardo, and so Bernardo had liver
only
cancer.
Way that it could come here is that he was here.
Yeah, so Bernardo had liver cancer, and in the liver cancer, he explained a lot of stuff to me about the dosing, what we explained earlier, how he couldn't eat brownies, he couldn't eat these things, the liver couldn't filter these things, would make him sicker. So in that, we had to come up with another option. I was making Rick Simpson oil at the time in Washington, and he needed another option. He showed me how to break down my Rick Simpson oil where it was too dirty for him. I thought I made a clean product. He was sick. He got sicker off my product. He expressed it to me. I cared. I listened to him. He showed me the direction of where he went with it. And in that, he made the suppositories. He said, this is how I take care of myself because I can't eat. When he passed away, he gave me my dog, which I have a miniature pinscher that's from him. And, we became really good friends and he's really strong. And in that, we knew that we had to provide this for people because with his liver cancer, he couldn't smoke a joint. He did because he liked to smoke weed, but it didn't relieve any of his ailments. Wow. It didn't help him in any of his condition. The suppository did. So we came up with it. We respectfully named it Option 2. So when you walk up into a collective, you can ask for Option 2. And you don't have to worry about getting the funny finger point and everything else. Then we came up with Option V. This is my wife's vision. My wife, she's 38 years young. She was diagnosed with endometriosis and a bunch of cervical problems, which I believe comes from birth control. And so all those problems to the reproductive area of women, nobody's addressed that situation. My wife had fibroids, she had a bunch of tumors and cysts, and she went through tons of problems in that area. My sons didn't have a mother, I didn't have a wife, and that was because she was down and out, and she was taking edibles, she was just taking these things. But we figured, hey, if we can add direct support to the area, maybe we can actually give them relief. And we had tons of relief from women that needed this. And we go down to controlling cramping, bloating, to, you know, heavy bleeding cycles, to, you know, if you can mellow them out, if you can mellow out the reproductive area, you can actually have a more productive woman.
Soft muscle tissue.
How is the wife now?
That cannabis and cannabinoids are most effective on when it comes to women.
It is.
So when it comes to cramping and menstrual cycles and things like that, that soft, visceral muscle tissue in that region of the body, cannabis is very effective for, and I know that from a physician.
And pharmaceuticals are very destructive to that area.
Exactly, yeah.
They tear that area up. They do not have respect. They do not have support to that area.
You know,
and so in that, I felt like it was very well needed, because we have friends with their 14-year-old daughters that have crazy, you know, periods right now where they sleep in dark rooms. Yeah,
it's so weird. It's so wild that you explained earlier about how you said your friend who had cancer got sicker off, you know, that you said you thought you was making a clean product. Because my wife, rest in peace, she died a year and a half ago from brain and lung cancer, right? So my buddy was up north in Trinity County. He came down and gave me some oil that he made, and it was beautiful. Hell, it was like overnight, the first night I gave it to her, it worked tremendously. And then after she ran out, you know, I found a dispensary that had some more, you know, so I just went and got a syringe, and I'm like, just, you know, hurry up, get it back to her. So I gave her some, and she had a seizure later on that night. Then she told me, she said, I think it's that stuff that you gave me. She said it was just she said it was a funny feeling. I think it was that stuff. And I'm like, no, it's not. I'm like, it's not supposed to do that, because remember the other one never did that to you. She said, yeah, but something different about this one. And
Too many people are riding hope. And that's the problem, is that if you're riding hope and that's
showed me the
your
difference.
profit.
And you just spoke it right now. That showed me the difference in the both that I was making. 'Cause my other buddy, he makes his like purely clean and everything, you know. And I gave him that. I gave her that, and then I took this other one just out of a dispensary, you know, just desperate.
And that's the problem, is that I can't make enough of this. No matter who's making it, you can never make enough of it. So many people need this.
Yeah,
but and right now, the knowledge of making this oil is a very dirty tech. It's a very disgusting tech, and it's just early tech. Because when you watch Run from the Cure from Rick Simpson on YouTube, he teaches you how to make it with naphtha. It's pretty rough solvent. It's a pretty harsh product. And he tells you can use anything, any solvent that can evaporate in air. And so people go use isopropyl alcohol.
Got the whole
people use
concept
ethanol.
Extract.
Well, okay, so with extracting, so cannabis is an oil. And so if we can get a solvent to strip that oil away from the plant matter, fast, efficient, and evaporate it quick, we can have a good oil with the precise. Now, my friend's a chemist, and he can explain that to you a little bit better than I could.
Listen.
But that's...
In near 9 years of talking about this incredible plant, I really get that part of it. I just didn't realize until recently that there are such harsh chemicals used to extract the oil from the plant. I used to be in print class, and I remember type wash and how intoxicating type wash was.
With ether.
To get the ink off these hard metal pieces that imprints into what we call flyers and business cards. That stuff really has to strip through oils. So I understand that part of it, but when I learned that some of these extracts are being derived from such harsh chemical components to pull that oil out of it, it really concerned me, and then people are blowing themselves up at home.
Let's remember what cannabis. Let's remember what marijuana is. Marijuana is a bioremediation plant. It cleans the earth, it cleans its environment, and it heals everything it touches.
Let me jump in real quick. I want to ask you a quick question. Pull the music down. You said something earlier on, and Ikkor and I have been saying this for a while because this is something I learned from other advocates and professionals we've had on the show with us here on the over the years here on the Marijualogist. Is it true that you can take cannabis and/or hemp and plant it in soil intoxicated and fouled by nuclear radiation?
20 hectares were planted in Chernobyl.
Right.
And those are the only 20 acres of clean soil in Chernobyl. And this is done with hemp. This was done with marijuana, and and this has also been done with mushrooms, with Pastora syringae.
And it grew up in there. You still can smoke it out of all that radiation.
And so they're finding out. So this is what the healing of the plants were.
OG.
The last witch hunt. Last witch hunt on people are plants. They don't understand plants. They want to rule plants. They want to chemicalize. The problem with plants is that they're not They're not definite. The ratio of them are constantly different. They're not always the same, depending on environments.
They
and stresses.
adapt.
It's just
They
like
evolve.
us. How are you?
Better
You wake up tomorrow because you had a great day today. Tomorrow you're in a good mood.
Right.
If you have a bad day today, tomorrow you're not going to be in that good of a mood. So if we harvested you tomorrow after a bad day, you're not going to be a good fruit. But if I harvest you after a good day, after a good farm, you're going to be a good fruit. A lot of these things aren't took into play anymore. Common sense ain't so common anymore because profit sense is the lead front
That's
right
it.
now.
That's it.
As long as we could,
Everybody want to grow now.
Well, the farmers
backyard boogie scientists.
What we used to do.
It changes the efficacy.
Yeah, at the beginning, they're trying to take apart what it was. Now, trust me, the big cartels and the big money that was doing things, I'm not speaking for them, but what cannabis was since the 60s was small farmers and families that were growing this in Humboldt, Mendocino, Trinity County, Lake County. You know, these people were taking care of the weed. The government knew. The pigs knew. They didn't mess with anybody. They knew that it was a local environment that was taking care of themselves and providing money to the local community. They have stripped that apart, and they said, we're going to turn this into profits. Because I used to grow a pound of weed. And that profits that I made after I paid my bills and paid for everything that it took to grow the weed, if I made $2,000 of profit off of that, I took my family on vacation. I told this to my friend that has a job, a career. He says, $2,000 on a vacation? That's a joke. I take 8 to 10, and I only go on vacation with me and my wife. And he's like, man, those are only $2,000 you're roughly going to take on a vacation? I said, man, and I was living hood rich.
They had a ball.
You know what I'm saying? And they're gouging hood rich.
Exactly.
I was making money off of my friends in the hood. I wasn't trying to monopolize. I couldn't monopolize off. We weren't playing Monopoly. They were working at McDonald's and KFC, and I was working at Target, and I had a connection for weed, and I wanted to give them a good deal because they're my homies right next door to me. I wasn't going to drive a Bentley or a Beamer because none of them were. But the guys in the house in the hill, I started looking up in the hills like, how do I get their money? How do I become relevant to them? Because they're the ones that are going on those extravagant vacations. They're the ones driving the nice cars. I live in the hood. So how do I get their attention? And so in the hood, I looked up to those hills. And I got their attention. And in that, I understood I knew something. I knew how to survive the people that had the hope, that were happy and content. And those are the people in poverty. The people that have so much to lose and feel that they have everything to gain, those are the most evilest people in this industry.
So I'd like to pose a question to the panel before we wrap out the show, and I want to get words from everybody. You good over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, good. I have often posed the notion that there are more hamburgers sold globally than crack and heroin and cannabis probably combined. Probably more hamburgers sold globally. Yeah, like, billions served, right? Not everybody smokes cannabis. Not everybody does these other drugs, although they are quite, prevalent.
But the repeated people that's doing it over and over.
So,
we caught up with that, probably surpassed that.
Your mom go buy a hamburger, and then she got a bunch of kids. Bottom line being this. I thought to myself, what if we could turn all of the inner city dope boys, the duffel bag boys, into entrepreneurs? What if we could get them to put down the crack and their heroin and legally sell cannabis? They probably wouldn't need much help getting set up.
They got the bread.
Meat sales.
But you got to also remember this, though. You got to also remember you still got the dope fiends who still like that dope.
That's right. That's right.
But cannabis helps with that.
Exactly. Maybe you could just walk the the duffel bag boys down to City Hall and teach them how to take over some of that property in Detroit and D.C. and Philadelphia, some of that dilapidated property. All you got to do is sign. Got a couple of dollars. Boom, you own that property. But no harsh drugs. I'm going to set you up with a cannabis opportunity. And your mission is going to be to convert those hardcore drug addicts and turn them on to the multiplicitous benefits of this one plant.
You know how easy
and employ them.
How easy is that?
You know how easy to do? It's
And
very easy to
employ
do.
them.
Because how many kids are looking up to their family and loved ones that are those people? It's very simple to do. That's why medical marijuana works so well, because you're helping your sister, your brother, your uncle, your cousin, your friend. They all have cancer. They all have debilitating disease. They have multiple sclerosis. They have fibromyalgia. There's a label for everything that people have
All
nowadays.
these soldiers coming home, men and women.
All these
And they
crackheads
call-
walking around sick. They just not in the hospital, but they
I'll
walk
tell you
around
something
sick.
about a crackhead, too. They work all day.
They
Hell
work
yeah,
all
they
day.
work hard,
They
too.
work hard.
From one side of the city to the
Well, they
next.
put them in a rickshaw.
You ain't
Them
catching no
things-
crackhead.
Damn a rickshaw. Let's
Believe
give them some respect, and let's say to them, hey, downtown homeless people. Give me 5 of y'all, 2 or 3 in the cab,
And the rest
and
gonna follow.
a couple. Hold on, in the cabin of the truck. I've got a family up in Beverly Hills. This happens now. Trust me when I tell you. I got a family up in Beverly Hills whose great-grandmother died, and believe it or not, she was related to Julie Garland. And she's not Julie Garland, but she's got all this kind of Julie Garland stuff, and they want to give it away to a group of homeless people that can take it to a center and sell it to empower them. How hard is that?
Yeah.
How hard is that? I know